Aita for wanting my parents to show up together, and not one parent and step-parent when I was asked for honesty? My parents are divorced, and I'm 16, the only child from their marriage. I was 4 when they divorced. I was 7 when mom remarried and 8 when dad remarried. Once they started dating other people, my parents stopped attending the same events. If I had a school play, they took turns showing up. This was encouraged by my step-parents who didn't like the idea of my parents in the same room. No matter what I had going on, they would take it in turns to show their faces at it. I could win a huge award for something, and it would be mom and stepdad, or dada and stepmom. Even if everyone sat apart, both being there wasn't allowed. I always hated it. And for me it felt worse when my half-siblings got both of their parents at events. I know the difference is my parents are married to my half-siblings' other parents, but it still sucks to be the person who has to choose. And there are times I will be asked if I want mom or dad there more. I've always wished they could go to the same thing, sit on opposite sides of the room and make me run between them. That still sounds better than missing one parent. I used to play piano, parents forced it. So I had a lot of big recitals that I'd have loved to see. Both attend piano wasn't even for me. It was for them. So it stung like a bitch to have just one parent there. Right now me and 3 other kids are being put forward to represent our school at a competition. It's being hosted locally and my parents have already asked me to be honest about who I want there. They said they need to plan ahead to give me what I want. I told them I want both of them to show up instead of just one of them. They said I'd still have 2 people and I said, I wouldn't have my 2 parents though. And they wanted me to be honest. So I'm being honest, I want mom and dad. My step-parents are really unhappy with my honest answer. And my parents are being awkward about it. ATA, comments, commenter, 1. Tell them it's both or none. They should not need to force their child to mediate between adults. Commenter 2. They asked and you answered and you are NTA for making the request. Your parents are being petty, unfair, and unkind. Reply. I had to be honest. They pushed for it and I've wanted to say it for so long. Commenter 3. They always put their feelings, and their new partner's feelings, before yours. It's about time they asked what you want. And hopefully, for once they give priority to your feelings. TA if their partners don't like to see the other parent. The current partners can stay home. Reply. My step-parents don't like my parents to see each other as well as they don't like to see my other parent. They do not like my parents communicating. Even I know they get involved in that all the time when something has to be discussed. Reply. Commenter 3. And this has been going on since you were 6? They put their own pettiness and jealousy before the interest of a 6-year-old child? And both of your parents let them instead of putting up boundaries for you straight away? You've been let down severely by all 4 of them. But out of these 4, 2 were supposed to be there for you instead of enabling this situation. And they have been putting your feelings and wishes on the back burner. Reply. Yep. I was 6 when it started. I remember them being in the same room just fine before that. They showed up and even sat next to each other, and they got along okay, from what I can remember. Then it all stopped. Reply. Commenter 3. I have a child. My mother heart is just crying over this emotional neglect. Please accept my virtual hug and my virtual encouragements for your competition. Commenter 4. I'm going to get downvoted, but you will need to make an ultimatum. Now that either none come or both come. I say this because if every future event is like this, does that mean only one goes to your graduation, wedding, your future kids' events? Funerals, you need to communicate that they are both neglecting you. You need to ask them the question. Why do they hate each other so much they are willing to abuse you just to spite the other person? And when they deny this, you tell them it's abusive to neglect me just because they are your part-time parents. Call them out for not being a full-time parent to you and that you know that they treat you like an obligation rather than an actual son, but you are asking can they work the same day at being a parent for you for one day? Reply. That's exactly what it means. I only get to see one of them for major stuff. The other won't be allowed to go and won't come for me because their spouse is against it. And maybe they don't want to, either. IDK. Stories number 2. WibTA. If I cut off my entire childhood friend group after they secretly planned a hen-do and didn't invite me, I've been part of a friendship group since I was 13. I'm nearly 33. Now there are 7 of us in total. While some are closer to each other than others, we've kept a group chat going for years. I've always seen them as my oldest and most meaningful friends, the kind you assume will be in your life forever. This weekend, I opened Instagram and saw that 5 of the girls had gone on a long weekend. Hindu for one of the group's weddings. I had absolutely no idea it was happening. No invite, no heads up, no mention at all. The only other one not there has 2 kids, so I assume she couldn't go, but I was simply excluded. The whole thing was planned behind my back, to be clear. I know I haven't been the most active in the group chat recently. I've been doing a PhD, and I even gave them a heads up a few years ago that I'd be less present for a while, but I still showed up when it mattered. I traveled across the country for everyone's 30th birthdays, and I've always backed them. Even from a distance, what's hurt the most isn't just missing the hen, it's the silence. Not one person said, "Hey, just so you know," or gave me a chance to understand. They just carried on like everything was normal. After finding out, I spoke to 2 of the girls, my closest friends. They were shocked I wasn't included, and admitted they were confused by the bride's Rachel's decision. They told me there hadn't been any falling out or issue from me, and they were really upset to see how hurt I was when I said I was thinking of leaving the group chat and cutting ties completely, unfollowing everyone, stepping back. They got really emotional and said they didn't want me to go, and that felt extreme. But honestly, I don't know if I can stay. I feel humiliated. Like a spare part in a friendship I thought I was still part of. The trust feels broken. Part of me wants to just walk away quietly, not to punish anyone, but to protect myself and give myself the dignity of closure. The other part of me is scared I'll look like the dramatic one, or regret walking away from 20 years of history. So Wibte, if I cut them all off after this, or should I just distance myself from the bride, since it sounds like she made the final decision? Relevant comments. Commenter. 1. It sounds like you've been not around for a few years at this point. Your example of showing up was when everyone turned 30, and you are now almost 33. You also told them you wouldn't be available for years. I don't see this as you being excluded so much as either the bride following what she thought you set up as the parameters, you weren't going to be around, available, or the bride matching your energy. You don't put anything in. Don't expect others to have had very busy professional and personal times with school, work, kids, but I never told people, "Hey, count me out for years." That you did seems to be your choice, which is yours to make. But it seems like talking out of both sides of your mouth to make that choice, and then act shocked and betrayed when the others respected your boundary. I'm guessing it's a big misunderstanding that can be resolved by a phone call, not one to make the bride feel guilty or cause drama, but just to say, "I saw you all went away and I hope you all had a blast. I'm coming out of the weeds with school now and would love to join you all again going forward." Reply: yes, this does sound like I said goodbye for a few years. So instead of seeing them every few months, it was more like twice a year. We are all based in different cities. I do take some responsibility for this, but I will say I think being excluded from this event is a step too far for me. But definitely doing some thinking to work on this. Thank you for the advice. I am still thinking the bride knew that this would cause a huge problem, and I need to understand if this was with bad intent, forwardness, or some other reason she was aware this would cause a problem. Maybe a group message is a good shout. Thank you. Commenter 2. It's not only the non-invite but the fact no one told you. You had to find out via social media. Are you invited to the wedding? Either way, I'd take a step back from everyone, even the 2 closest friends. Why didn't they tell you? Why keep it a secret? Reply: this is exactly the main struggle. They have openly said they knew I would be upset, and I think that's a big part why they couldn't tell me beforehand. I believe I am invited to the wedding. But she's not sent the invites out yet. I have told the 2 of them I need a bit of time away, and that I'm still in my gut reaction phase. They have apologized a lot, and one started crying when she thought I was cutting her off. So after this, I really don't want to do this with these 2, but we definitely have things to work on. Commenter 3. What is this, the DOD? Didn't the innocent friends read the email text numbers? Did anyone ask, "Hey, why isn't Susie coming?" You are justified in feeling terribly hurt. You would not be considered an asshole if you didn't want to continue the group relationship. Reply, they did say that to each other but never as a whole group. They felt bad about it, but felt they couldn't do much about it. Commenter 4. Bullshit. After 20 years of friendship they couldn't do anything? Not even so much as ask their other 20-year-long friend, why? These are the weak excuses of backboneless people, and I'm so sorry they treated you like this. I wouldn't feel like I want to be friends with people that treat me this way. OP adds. More info here. I have reminded them over the past couple of years but absolutely agree. I should have been more communicative. I didn't go into the nitty-gritty in this post as I wanted to be brief too. For more context, after speaking to my two friends, they were chatting about the fact I wasn't invited for months before the event. It was very conscious and discussed a lot, but usually only between 2 or 3 people at a time, apparently. I asked them both the question, what do you think my reaction would be when I found this out? And they both said, absolutely devastated. More than anything, it's the fact they didn't tell me or talk to the bride about the repercussions of this, on what I thought was a tight-knit group. Oh, and absolutely feeling a little low as I'm in my final years, so taking that into account, but I also thought they may have taken it into account as well. Waiting a week to decide what to do here, but appreciate the direct comments. Thinking it may just be the bride I need to have a proper chat with and possibly ending a friendship update. Sorry for the slow reply. I've been away at a conference and needed a bit of space to think. I didn't expect the post to get so much attention, but I really appreciated the honest responses. It made me feel more justified in how hurt I felt since posting. I've spoken to a few people who know the group and situation well. Every single one of them was surprised, and most were very clear. I should cut off the bride, and possibly the others too. Just to add some more context, I was a lot quieter about. A year ago I was doing my PhD and also going through a tough time in my personal life, dealing with some serious issues involving suicide and addiction. They all knew about this and had offered words of support over the last 6 months or so. I'd started chatting to them a bit more again. Things felt pretty normal. I had a phone call with the bride where she asked for wedding advice, and we also had a proper catch-up. I saw 3 of the others from the group in person not long after. What makes this all harder to process is knowing that during those moments, when we were catching up and everything seemed fine, they already knew about the hen weekend and didn't say a word since posting. I've quietly removed myself from the group chat and taken the bride off socials. She did message me saying she heard I was upset and was happy to chat, but to be honest, it felt more like damage control. If she wanted to talk honestly, there were plenty of chances to do that earlier at this point. I've tried to understand why she would do this, and the only explanations I can land on are, she deliberately didn't want me there and didn't have the decency to be upfront about it. She felt awkward and avoided the situation entirely, or she didn't realize how hurtful it would be, though I find that hard to believe. Whatever the reason, it's caused a rift with some of my most important friendships and put us all in an incredibly uncomfortable situation. It's made it clear that this isn't the kind of friendship I want to keep in my life. 2 of the others still haven't acknowledged anything. I haven't removed them yet. I'm just keeping my distance and taking time to process. This whole thing has been a sharp wake-up call. I thought things were back on solid ground. Clearly, they weren't. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to comment. It really helped me get clear and act from a place that felt calm, not reactive. Relevant comments. Commenter. NTA. You don't have to cut them off completely, but maybe just quiet quit. Don't make any effort if you aren't getting reciprocal effort. Put the group chat on D&D and only reply to texts sent directly to you. Only answer calls. Don't make them check in on yourself in a month. Are you happier than before? Are they making more of an effort to include you? Have any of the others even noticed you stepping back? Reply. So after a bit of thinking, I have taken myself out of the group chat and don't think I can forgive the bride. I'm not making a big song and dance about it, but taking myself away from the situation and people involved. Those who want to remain in my life will let me know. One of the gals I spoke to has messaged me several times, organizing a catch-up for this weekend, and is planning to come visit. These questions to ask myself are really helpful. Thank you. I feel like after this, there may be a couple of friends left from this group, but I've decided to focus on other friendships for the moment. OP when asked for any reason this may have happened. Reply. Thank you for this. I'm trying to get more clarification from them. From what I can tell, the maid of honor was given list of people to message individually, so I don't think there was a group chat. Although, at some point they did find out I wasn't invited. That's the worst part. They didn't have the gall to tell me about. I spoke to another friend in the group who is also a maid of honor, and she listened and did say the communication was very bad, and they are sorry for that. I asked why I wasn't invited, and she said, I just don't think you two are that close. Which just riled me up in this group. Some are closer than others. But I would never purposefully exclude one because I know how rubbish that would make them feel. Plus, this has only been in the last year where I'm coming towards the end of the PhD. They are also super aware of suicide and family addiction struggles within my family over the past couple of years, which of course has made me a little less social than normal. I don't find any of these excuses acceptable. Just mean girl behavior at worst, and cowardliness or even awkwardness at best. On a happy note, as you have said, I do have some lovely other friends who have been so incredibly supportive and validating, have openly said you deserve better, and we will always be here for you. I am super extroverted, which isn't always a great thing, but I have made some great friends and can make more needs. Must update, I took a week and a half away and couldn't think of any good reasons for the bride's behavior. It came down to either cowardliness or the fact that she's not a good person. I have decided to step away from the friendship with the bride. I've taken her off my socials and quietly taken myself away from the group chat. She reached out with, hey, I heard you were upset about not being invited to the hen do. Happy to chat about it if you want. I've decided to leave it. I wish her the best, but I don't deserve a friend like that. I'm currently repairing a few friendships with the people I care about, but one of the friends has said she doesn't want to rekindle the friendship. I suspect there's been tension rising behind my back that I was unaware of. Friendship means different things to different people, and I will quite happily go a few months without chatting to people, but other people may not like that. If I haven't heard from someone in a while, I tend to reach out, but my initial thought isn't to make passive-aggressive decisions and to hurt people. My first thought would be, are they okay? She obviously doesn't think like this, and that's okay, but not someone I want to be friends with. Last point, she has apologized to the friendship group except me for putting them in this situation. I am the one coming off worse here, but I can't see any excuse for the cruelty of this. Can honestly say I'm happy with making this decision. I have had so much support from other friends and family that I barely even think of them now. On a positive note, I've been making sure to give more time to my other friends, as I want them to know they are important. Stories number 3. A friend of mine asked me to babysit her daughter for a weekend, while she dipped away to Atlanta to a weekend. That was almost 2 months ago. So my friend had a little girl named Mariana. She doesn't know who the father is, and whatever high-key, she's always been kind of a shit mom, neglectful and short-tempered. But I always thought she loved Mariana. I babysat for Mariana a bit here and there, but I wasn't the only sitter I came to. Really like this kid. She's now 4. Ever since January, my friend was bragging about her new boyfriend in Atlanta. Late April, she messaged me and said, hey, my sitter bailed. Can you watch Mary, our nickname for Mariana, from Friday to Monday, April 27 to 30? I'm going to Atlanta to meet my boyfriend, and I can't bring her. I agreed to babysit. She told the school and everything, so Friday morning she dropped off a bunch of clothes and a stuffy at my apartment. In hindsight, she left way more clothes than was normal, but I didn't think anything of it. Then she left to catch her plane. I went and picked up Mariana from school and took her home. For the record, I don't work. I receive compensation and disability from a work injury that left me with a bad knee. I took her to the park across the street from my building and played with her until dinner time. We cooked dinner together, we cleaned up, watched a movie, and then I read her stories on my phone. The mother didn't have books and never read to her. I got her changed and put her to bed on the couch, and I went to sleep. We had a good weekend. We went to the library Saturday for half the day and played at the park. And Sunday was kind of a lazy cuddle day. We did some crafts, put on a movie, and napped all day. Monday after school, the mom was supposed to have come to gotten Mariana by 5. She didn't show. I spammed her phone with calls and texts and got no answer. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept doing what I was doing. Tuesday, There was still no contact. Mariana was starting to get upset and asked where Mommy was. Wednesday, I went to my friend's house, but no one home. I contacted all of our mutual friends, but still nothing. Wednesday night was hard. Mariana had a really bad tantrum, crying and screaming for her mommy. It was so bad she didn't sleep, and I had to tell her school she wouldn't be in. The school, for the record, wasn't asking questions yet. Finally, I got her to calm down. I told her Mommy got a little lost on her trip, but until she came home, I'd take care of her. She started to have nightmares about being abandoned and became anxious and clingy. After a week of being woken up by her screaming through the night, I let her sleep with me, which helped tremendously. So that lasted 5 days until I bought her a little futon and put it beside my bed. So if she wakes up, she can see that I'm still right beside her. When she was delivered to me in April, her clothes smelled iffy. Her shoes had holes in the soles and were too small, and I found out she needs glasses. I bought her a whole new wardrobe, new shoes. I taught her how to cook and bake, and we're learning guitar for kids. She's healthier. She looks better. Before, she looked tired all the time and seemed to just be not well nourished. She hadn't touched any soda since she's been in my care, and she eats regular healthy meals. But we ran into an issue. I took her to get glasses, and the eye doctor said I couldn't sign for her or make appointments for her since I wasn't her legal guardian. The school began asking, "Where is your friend?" And I have no idea. I told my mom that I would be going to the police and asking them what to do, but what she told me made me stop. Now it's been 2 weeks, and I know I can't just keep her, but my mom told me if I went to the police, I wouldn't be able to keep her. They'd take her away and try to find the mom or give her to another relative of hers. Mariana would likely go to my friend's mom who used to beat her. When I was getting ready to go with Mariana to the police station, I burst into tears and I hugged her, and I told her I loved her, and she said, "I love you too, Daddy," without any prompting or that word ever being said around her. I don't want to lose her out of everyone in her life. I'm the only one who wanted her. I love her. I want her. A few comments. Before all edits. You're right. I went by the house again yesterday and still nothing. A friend of mine said she probably abandoned Mariana. It looks that way because her car was sold supposedly, and her neighbors said she never came back. Someone else checked in with her mom and best friends, and there's rumors that she moved in with her new guy and changed her name. But I don't know, and I don't want to fuel hearsay. What I will say is that there's a reason no one is worried about her, and everyone assumed she abandoned Mariana. This isn't the first time she ran away with some guy. The school hasn't called because apparently they were told she might be away for the rest of the school year. So technically this makes sense. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, so it's tough. I don't want to start making her sleep on a couch again, and the apartment is small. So if I get custody, I'll try to move us into a 2-bedroom. It's possible for me to apply for emergency custody? How do I do that? The more I spend time with Mariana, the more I hate my friend without even wanting to. Mariana is so beautiful and intelligent and spirited. She's fun and sweet and gentle and loving. How? How do you abandon someone who adores you like this? She cries at night for her mother and asks me why Mommy doesn't love her, and it makes me so angry. And I try not to be because I don't know what went on in her mind. I don't want to hate the mother. I try not to hate anyone, but it's so hard. I don't think I can. I'm mentally preparing myself to say goodbye, and Mariana knows I'm not okay too. When I check my phone to check my messages, she tries to come between me, sit on me, cuddle, etc. She's been really clingy and sucky, crying and coming to me for cuddles over a little fall she had on the carpet. So I think she senses that I'm very emotional right now. I don't know how to look at her and tell her that I'm disappearing, just like Mommy did. It seems that best case scenario is she goes into the state's care until my emergency custody is approved. Edit, just to clarify. Mariana's grandmother and uncle both know I have her. They seem to know where the mother is, but they won't say anything. They don't care that I'm taking care of her, and they have never requested or demanded her. They don't want her. What do I do? Can I be allowed to adopt her based on the grounds that I've been looking after her this long? Or will they take her away? Edit 2. I've decided that I have to do the right thing. I'm going to call the grandmother Monday morning and tell her I want custody. And then no matter what, I'll call CPS and apply for emergency custody. I'm not ready to say goodbye. I'm on the brink of a panic attack just thinking of it. I feel sick and I'm sweating. But we have laws for a reason. And if I circumvent them to protect Mariana, other people can do it to hurt kids. I'm going to wait until Monday tomorrow. I'm going to give Mariana the best night of her life. Anything she wants to do or wants to have is hers. Wish me luck. Edit 3. I sought out help, but I don't think they understand what I'm trying to figure out since almost all of their comments are about race. But yeah, I will reach out to CPS and explain that I have spent months trying to get in touch with Mariana's legal guardian, that I have been her surrogate parent since April, and that Mariana had benefited from my care. I'll try to explain that I would like to be granted temporary custody until this is figured out, since separating us could be traumatizing for Mariana. Thank you all for your advice and kind comments. Edit 4. Since it seemed to upset a lot of people, I deleted some information about how no one knows Mariana's cultural identity. It's not really relevant anyways, as my concerns that culture could influence CPS's decisions is apparently unfounded. I'm happy that CPS doesn't see color or culture, but I hope that in doing so, they don't mistakenly put children in the homes of people who are disrespectful towards their heritage. Edit 5. I just got off the phone with Mariana's grandmother. It didn't go well. She was quite offended when I said I had already called CPS, and she was even more offended that I want to adopt Mariana. She insinuated that I am trying to hurt the mother, because I'm jealous that she won't sleep with me. While Mariana's mother is a pretty woman, our personalities are at conflict, and despite my crippling loneliness, I am not interested in engaging in those activities with her. The exchange became heated as she focused on my weight and lack of sexual prowess, and I focused on Mariana's well-being and my desire to give her a good home. I'll make a new update post once everything has settled down. CPS should have someone here by 4:30. Few comment from Oop after all. Edit C did write down everything I remembered since last night, put together some recipes that she loves, and made a list of her favorite stories and books. It seems pretty guaranteed that she's going to be taken away, so I've packed up her recipe book and clothes, and her toiletries, and this little keepsake I got her. I'll be adding the journal and my childhood stuffy tomorrow in the recipe book. I put some notes. I wrote down what veggies she likes and dislikes. I marked down what spices and ingredients to try and stay stocked up on because we use it a lot. I wrote out how much she usually eats and what I do when she's being picky. I noted what she does when she helps me cook for each recipe. It took 4 hours to finish. I put some cute stickers on it and wrote Mary's cookbook on it in Sharpie. She is some form of Latino on her father's side, maybe Mexican or Colombian because her mom bragged about Mexican and Colombian men. Often I don't know for sure. She isn't native though. I'll never give up on her. Tomorrow isn't goodbye forever. I'll get her back. I originally mentioned that Mariana was of Latino descent, though I don't know what culture she specifically belongs to. I also mentioned what I knew of the man Mariana's mom ran off with, which was basically a first name, and his general appearance. A few grumpy butts got fixated on the racial details and tried to paint me as some kind of racist, which was silly and rude and very unpleasant. Since they wouldn't let it go, I deleted all mentions of race and culture and deleted my post on legal advice update. A lot has happened since my last update. Amy, Mariana's mom Brenda, Amy's mom Caleb, Amy's brother Dan, Amy's new boyfriend Ella, Amy's former best friend. Firstly, I filed a complaint with Cass citing how I was treated, and the fact that the agent did not follow proper procedure. KS agreed that things were handled poorly, but maintained that I had no rights pertaining to Mariana. The lady I talked to was very understanding. She said that they did in fact read the journal I made them, and the TAS lady complimented me, and stated outright that if I was a relative, even a distant one, she would be in my care, no problem. Police investigated Mariana's mother Amy's disappearance. They found her. She was pregnant and living with Dan. She may potentially get deported back to Canada. I don't know if that's true or not, though. She would not return Cass's phone calls. I reached out to Amy's brother Caleb, as the grandmother Benda was not returning my calls. Caleb and I talked. I asked him how Mariana was. I asked about his sister. I explained everything. He told me the following: screen caps of a group text where Amy responded to Brenda telling her I would call Cass. Amy said, "Call them and tell them he touches little girls, LOL." Verbatim, Mariana was kept in KS's care, while the process to cut Amy's parental rights went on. They said she was suffering from extreme distress. Brenda was granted emergency custody, but Brenda was witnessed by Mariana's personal KS worker, selling pain pills. When Brenda was warned about selling drugs around a 4-year-old, she stated that she couldn't look after her and gave her back to Cass technically. Amy still has parental rights. She played the system. Caleb finally admitted he wasn't okay with everything, but he couldn't afford to take Mariana. He put me in touch with Amy, who was rude and obnoxious. Amy is pregnant again, and she's taken Mariana to the States currently. She is in trouble for a DUI she got. I don't know the details. I called her and said outright that she should allow me to take Mariana in a closed adoption, where she would have visitation rights, and she wouldn't have to have her taken by CPS. We got into a big fight, and I said, just because you don't want Mariana doesn't mean she should suffer or be abused. Let me give her a loving home. I said to her, there is a reason she dropped Mariana with me in the first place. I told her. Deep down inside, she chose me because she knew I would love her. I cried during our talk, and she teared up too. But after our talk, she, according to mutual friends, went on a huge tirade about me on Facebook. My current primary goal is to get Mariana away from Amy. She is continuing to drink and do drugs, and her boyfriend is not someone anyone trusts. The grandmother is completely out of the picture. Amy's close friend, Ella, reached out to me and said that she thought things were terrible, and she fought against Amy and sacrificed their friendship. To stick up for me, I found it moving because Ella wasn't someone I talked to. I am trying to work out a deal with Caleb, my lawyer, who is a Redditor from the last thread working pro bono for me, promised to represent him in family court for free. We are urging him to fight for Mariana to get away from Amy and Dan, so we can move forward with a closed adoption. Caleb doesn't want to destroy the family any more than this already has, but he is considering it. He admits, I am the only person who ever really cared about his niece, and I'm probably the only one who can make her happy. Honestly, it's been hard. Emotionally, it's been really devastating to see Mariana go to such a bad place. I don't know what she is going through, but this has been torture for her. These months of struggle left me feeling bitter and angry, as well as depressed and helpless. It's been hard to maintain a positive attitude. Every time I see her stuff in my apartment, I tear up and get emotional. I have been sleeping poorly and skipping meals. I haven't been healthy since I lost her. Legally, if Caleb doesn't go through with his side, it's over. Sometimes I wonder if I could have just kept her. Probably not, but she would be healthier and happier if I could have. I feel like the system failed. Mariana, in my last thread, a young mom reached out to me. She was a few hours away IRL, so we talked and ended up getting along very well. We've started a relationship, and we met up a couple of times. She's been very helpful in helping me cope. Last time, some people got weirded out over my emotional attachment to Mariana. This time, I am not engaging with people like that this time. These kinds of people are the ones who think I should have hired a woman to do all the childcare stuff for Mariana, or left her to marinate in filth for weeks. These are the kinds of people who will never understand that I love Mariana, and I want to be a part of her life, to protect and raise and help her, for as long as there is life in me. She's family. I'm anxious. There is no telling what abuse Mariana will go through at home. Amy should have lost parental rights a long time ago, but that process is moving slowly apparently. They may not be able to enforce it with Amy in the States now, so that if things are going to work out, it will still be over a year before I see Mariana again. But more likely, it all ends here. Update. A woman abandoned her daughter Mariana in my care for months, while she fled the country to live with another man. Now the matter has reached a resolution. Though not a happy one, check my post history for the old posts. The basic rundown is Mariana was abandoned in my care while Amy, her mom, left to meet her new boyfriend in the States. Brenda, the grandmother, is abusive and doesn't want Mariana. Caleb, the uncle, doesn't have the finances to raise her. Amy is pregnant from her new boyfriend Dan after Mariana was returned to CPS. Amy took her to the States. We tried to have Caleb sue for custody of Mariana due to Amy's neglect and dangerous lifestyle. I want to adopt Mariana, but for now I'm just praying that Caleb gets her, and I can just be her babysitter. I promised Caleb if he got custody, I'd support Mariana financially. Whether she lives with me or with him doesn't matter. I just want her to be happy. So here's what happened since then. Dan dumped Amy, threw her out for cheating on him, and was charged for assaulting Amy's lover Amy. Then fled back to her grandmother's. Caleb backed out of the suit. He believes that he can support Mariana now that she's back home. But I doubt it. Either way, it's all over. Amy and Brenda are gone. They moved and now I know nothing. I'm never getting Mariana, I'm never seeing her again. That's how this all ends. I'm sorry for getting people's hopes up. In my last post I mentioned I started seeing a young mom from Reddit. We are still together, and her kid both really get along with me. We became Facebook official, and have approached the subject of moving in together. Mariana left a big hole in my heart, but this woman is helping me to heal. She has said that I can't do anything more for Mariana, but I can be there for her and her daughter. I don't know what to do with Mariana's things. I've given my girlfriend's daughter as much of it as she wants, needs, but there is still a lot at it. What my partner meant is that we've exhausted all our legal options, and even my lawyer has said without Caleb's help it's all over. She was just trying to convey that I could make a difference to someone, even if I couldn't help Mariana any further. From Oop, unfortunately. I am now very well aqua-tinted with the legalities. It's out of our hands. Best case scenario is Mary goes into foster care. Even then though, she won't ever go me, and I won't ever be able to know anything about her. She's gone from my life, I have no right legally to her, or any information about her. Stories number 4. Aita for sitting my brother and SIL down, and speaking up for my niece and nephews on how badly they are handling the new normal for their step-family. My brother has 3 children, Luke 16M, Cam 14F, and Bo 11M, with my late best friend Cam. My brother and late best friend were married for almost a decade, and separated just before Cam passed away from a brain bleed in her early 30s. My niece Cam was named very similarly to her mother intentionally. My brother was the one who suggested it when they found out baby number 2 was a girl. My niece always used her full name, however, while my best friend was always Cam. After my best friend died, my niece decided she wanted that extra connection to her mom, and stopped using her full name and chose to go by Cam. Everyone respected this, and started calling her Cam. My brother had no problem with her doing this previously. He called her Cam just like everybody else. My niece, when asked about her name, would say she was named after her mom and Mini Cam. This has become a problem now because my brother remarried a couple of years ago. His new wife always had a problem with Cam being Cam and being a Mini. She tried to use Cam's full name, but my niece told her she didn't like it, and went by Cam for a reason. CL vocalized some complaints a few months into the marriage, but dropped it around the rest of the family when she had no support in her complaints. When she remembered that I was late Cam's best friend, she closed off to me completely. A few times she complained about how often Cam, my best friend, was mentioned, and how people reminded Cam niece that she looks just like her mom. It all came to a head 2 months ago when my brother and SEL sat the kids down and told Cam it was bothering SEL to have her use the same name as her mom, that she wanted them all to use her full name like she did before her mom died. She said she did not see why that was such a big deal. My brother backed her up with the request. She also requested that they speak about their mom less at home, because it makes SIL uncomfortable. Instead of doing this, the kids all doubled down and talked about their mom more, and Cam made sure her name was used significantly more. The boys would repeat her name just to get to Sil. My brother said nothing until Sil tried to put a stop to it, and he supported her again. He told the kids not to chase Sil away. They said they wanted to, and they'd rather she go than their mom's memory go. There was a fight several days after that discussion, where Cam told Sil she would never be as good as her mom, and just because she was so jealous and insecure, she was going to compare everything, so she'd realize how not good she is. Cam was punished for this. The boys supported their sister, and more discourse erupted in the house. The kids bundled all their mom's things up and sent them to my house for safekeeping. SIL then freaked out about how much they were turning her into the enemy. She started using Cam's full name all the time, and my brother took her side when fights ensued. The kids told me about it last week, and I decided someone else needed to step in, so I sat my SIL and brother down and told them plainly they were messing up the new normal as a step family. I said by making their mom the enemy, or someone who needs to be hidden away CL. And my brother have guaranteed she will be the enemy to them. I said, fighting a person over their name just shows how much the two of them need to figure their shit out. They didn't appreciate it coming from me, and they accused me of overstepping Aita. Comments. Commenter 1. Your brother is a piece of shit for supporting that nonsense. He's putting his kids second here. What a fucking failure of a father he is. Commenter 2. NTA. It doesn't take a genius or psychologist to understand how this works. Tell a kid not to do something, and that's exactly what a kid will do. And the kids are right. His new wife sounds insecure and jealous. AF. And she can't tell Cam she has to change her name or any of the kids. They need to stop talking about and remembering their mother. She was their mother. Stay supportive for all the kids and let them know you will always talk about her and remember her with them, so they know they have an adult in their corner, while their dad seems to have forgotten that he is a parent. Commenter 3. NTA. Make sure you keep their mum's stuff safe and ensure CL does not have a key. Reply. She'll never get a key to my place. There's zero worry of that. My brother doesn't even have one. Commenter 4. NTA. You were advocating for your niece and nephews. They need the adult and family support since their dad is too worried about losing the woman, giving him sex, than he is about giving his kids the emotional support they deserve and need. Your SIL needs therapy to understand she is competing against a dead woman and will never win. Any action she pulls against their dead mother will only make her look worse and cause more resentment. If they start family therapy, pay attention and make sure your brother and SIL don't find someone who will tell the kids what the SIL wants them to hear. Some therapists sadly go along with the parents when they know better, because the parents pay and make the appointments good. Luck and good job being there for your nibblings. Reply. I don't think family therapy will be in their future. For one, I'm not sure my brother and SIL could honestly afford it currently. But I also think they would be wary of spending money on something the kids won't take seriously, because SIL knows they won't want to work with them in therapy now. And thank you. I'll support them the best I can because I love those kids, and I know they need safe places to fall. Stories number 5. Coworker applied to our biggest rival, and their HR snitched on him to our boss. Has anyone else seen a competitor do something this scummy? I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened to my friend at work last week. So he's been pretty underpaid for a while now, and was feeling stuck. He saw an opening at our main rival company, you know, the one that's always poaching people because they pay like 20% above market rate. He applied, thinking it was all confidential, as it should be. He had to do one of those LEET code-style technical screens, and didn't end up passing it. No big deal. He figured he'd just move on and keep looking. He told literally no one at our company about it. A few days later, our manager calls him into a one-on-one, and basically confronts him about applying to the competitor. It turns out someone from their recruiting department personally called our manager and told them everything. It completely blindsided him. Now the work environment is incredibly toxic, and management is treating him like a traitor. He's putting in his notice soon anyway, so in the long run it doesn't matter, but the whole situation just feels so unbelievably unethical. It's one thing to compete for talent. It's another to actively try and sabotage someone's career. Just leaves a really gross feeling about the whole industry. Is this even legal? Has career development now become a betrayal? I don't know where the job market is heading now. He have seen many posts on a subreddit from people who are not working now despite their experience, because of the shallow and overcomplicated ideas of managers, such as having a gap in their career path like this. And this is what makes things even more complicated. Honestly, I don't know how to make it easier for him. Comments. Commenter 1. This happened to me. I applied to work for a client of ours. When I interviewed with them, they asked if my boss was aware I applied with them. I answered honestly. And a week later, our branch director scheduled me for a meeting. He seemed more miffed about being blindsided by our client than me applying out. I got the job. And my work treated me like shit during my 2 weeks' notice. We had a fun event planned for those who met quotas on my last day. It would have been a nice goodbye with my co-workers. I met the quotas and was still uninvited by my boss. I was told that it wouldn't really be appropriate for me to go. I made sure to tell everyone how they treated me. Sadly, the new job was worse. It was family-owned, commenter. 2. This happens more than you think. Also, you get HR people move about who know where all the bodies are buried. It's hard to unknown what you know, commenter 3. I skipped work to go to job. Interview once. This city isn't that big, and the industry isn't that big either. The guy interviewing me turned out to be my boss's cousin, and he didn't hesitate to let my boss know that one of his employees was out looking for a new job. Stories. Number 6. Future Sil wants to recover from cosmetic surgery in our honeymoon cabin. Are we being selfish for saying no? Me, 29F, and my fiancé, 31M, are tying the knot in 6 weeks. We've booked a wee non-refundable A-frame cabin in the hills for our 5-night honeymoon. Paid up front, got some special bits planned. It's our first proper trip, just us in Yonks. His sister, 26F, just booked a lipo 3 days after the wedding. She asked if she and Mile 55F can crash at our cabin to recover for 3 to 4 nights. 'Cause it's about 15 minutes nearer her surgeon than their house. She reckons their place has kids, dogs, and stairs, and she needs peace and quiet. She offered to kip on the sofa, so you two can have the bedroom at night, and even asked to borrow our car, 'cause the seats are softer. She said she'd cover a cleaning fee if anything. Leaks. I nearly spat my tea out. We nicely said no and suggested alternatives. We'll sort a nearby hotel for 2 nights, chuck in some Lyft credits for appointments, help kid out a recovery spot at theirs, etc. Mael rang us selfish and said, marriage is about family first. Now SIL and a few siblings are sending guilt texts that we're ruining her plan and that we'll be out hiking loads during the day anyway. So what's the damage? My fiancé's backing me, but the pressure's ramping up. I don't want this blowing up right before the wedding. How do we lay down a solid boundary that holds without kicking off? Is Summit like, our honeymoon cabin is just for us? We're not having anyone there. Please sort other plans. This isn't up for debate. Too sharp? Also, nurse's lot. Am I daft for fretting over cleanliness, fluids on the furniture? I genuinely don't know what recovery's like, but it sounds grim. Would you loop in the cabin owner and say extra guests aren't on? Or is that petty? Any scripts? That sorted boundary trampling in-laws for you? I keep over-explaining and it's just making it worse. Cheers for reading. I want to keep the peace, but I also really want, our honeymoon. Any tips welcome. Comments. Commenter 1. She wants your honeymoon cabin so she can recover from unnecessary surgery 15 minutes closer to the hospital? Yeah, no, you're not being selfish, but she is being a complete something. She can go 15 minutes farther to her own damn house. Commenter 2. Sorry, we're planning on having sex on every available surface and not just at night. Who would want to be in a tiny cabin with a honeymooning couple? Commenter 3. No is a complete sentence. Have your husband handle your in-laws? This demand for your honeymoon cabin is unhinged. Shut it down. Commenter 4. Enenta. But if they're all concerned about her having a nice place to recover, why can't they all chip in and book her somewhere? I just remind them your honeymoon is private and just leave it at that. Stop responding with anything other than no. Stories number 7. Ada for shutting down my wife's party favor idea. We decided to leave the bulk of the planning to my wife, as she loves this kind of thing and wanted to take the reins. I had no reason to doubt any of her plans, as she did a great job with our past parties. I handled invites, food orders, and anything else she needed me to do. To her credit, she did a great job with the party itself. Everything ran smoothly and the kids had a great time. Until she brought out the party favors that she had kept a surprise from me. They came out when our friend had to leave with her daughter right after the cake. Before she could, my wife went into the back room and came out with a bag, the biggest grin on her face. What was inside the bag, you ask? A small tetra fish from the pet store, to be given as a party favor. My friend was flabbergasted. Her daughter's face beamed with excitement at the sight of her new pet. Mommy, I've always wanted a fish. My friend was at a loss for words, only glaring at me. She declined the fish, walking out of the party while her daughter clung to her, throwing a tantrum about turning down her new pet. Obviously, the chaos caused a scene, as all the children now knew about the fish. Every single parent in the room was pissed. Glaring, muttering, the whole works. What are we going to tell our kids? Great, now I have to get a fish tank. Most parents obliged and reluctantly accepted the fish. The whole time, my wife was elated at the sight of the happy children, oblivious to how their parents reacted. We ended up having to take a few fish home that had been turned down, meaning we also had to buy a tank. My wife couldn't understand why anyone would pass up a wonderful 50-cent fish. She grabbed this morning from PetSmart Fast, forward to now, 1 year later. It's a month away from my son's 8th birthday party, and my wife broached the topic of party favors. She exclaimed that we should hand out fish again. The kids loved it. It was a hit last year. I do not want to go through this again. Several of my friends who were at the party complained about having to take care of these fish, being put in a situation where they felt pressured to accept the gift to avoid upsetting their child. They had never received such a ridiculous party favor, and they wouldn't be attending if this was the case again. Not to mention, this feels horribly abusive to the fish who now have owners who don't want them. My wife brushed all of this off, saying that the parents were being selfish for not thinking about what makes the kids happy. She apparently didn't notice anyone upset at the party, only focusing on how the kids felt. She's calling me controlling, saying she doesn't even want to plan the party if she can't have this her way. All of her small group church friends agree with her. I don't want to upset my friends by putting them in an unfair situation, but I don't want to upset my wife, because she truly does enjoy putting these events together. So Reddit Aita for telling my wife not to buy party favor fish, relevant comments, commenter, 1. NTA. She gave the parents an obligation, not a treat for the children, reply. I'd be so upset if that happened to me. She has already argued, I'd love to receive pets as a party favor, who wouldn't? She loves animals and can't understand that other people's situations may not be ideal for adding a pet, commenter, 2. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of parents RSVP'd no this year. And if she does fish again, no one will come to her son's parties again after this. She needs to think about her son and his future. She needs to think about the fish. She needs to think about the other parents and her spouse OP, instead of getting her jollies off kids being excited while she makes everyone else miserable, reply. You're absolutely right. It's so unfair for our son if his friends don't attend BC of her actions, commenter 3. That's not a gift. Your wife is giving out chores and unwanted expenses to those parents. Wife is very selfish for that. Ask her if she is willing to buy the fish tanks, supplies and food, and is she willing to go feed each fish daily and clean their tank when needed. I bet she'll say no, reply. I've asked about the fish tanks, and she said that would be too expensive to buy 20 fish tanks, which I thought would convince this is a bad idea, commenter 4. W. Taff. These are live animals, not fucking party favors. NTA, reply. Agreed, animals, not matter how cheap, should never be treated as party favors. Ever, commenter 5. This is very typical narcissistic behavior. They are never wrong, and any other opinion or even an obvious plan opposite their own isn't worthy of consideration. They don't recognize it at all. A narcissist will seldom do the most appropriate thing, choosing something more complicated that will upset a normal person. Reply. You're very intuitive. I believe you're absolutely right. She just focused on how the kids were so happy and how that encouraged her to do it again, implying it made her very happy seeing the kids happy, commenter 6. Definitely NTA. Borrow someone's dog for a day and say you got it as a B-Day present and see how she reacts. Unless she would love that, then don't, maybe a snake or something, reply. I like the way you're thinking. The issue is, she argues that she would love to receive pets as a gift, since she loves animals. Update 1, TLDR. Last year, my wife handed out pet fish as party favors, and insisted we do it again this year. I refused. And she called me controlling. I took your guys' advice and decided to just talk to her. I used a lot of your points from the comments to reason with her, especially the ones about animal abuse. My wife just kept insisting that I was controlling, eventually just shutting down and walking away, giving me the silent treatment. For those of you asking if this has happened before, yes. Not the party situation. Exactly. But the, I'm going to make a horrible selfish decision And if you push back your controlling behavior, she has backed out of multiple parties and events last minute because she didn't feel like going, and accused me of abandoning her when I told her I still wanted to go, insisted I stop playing guitar because she finds it annoying, attended a wedding in a swimsuit because she was told there was a pool, proceeded to spend the whole reception at the pool because they're your friends, I don't really care about celebrating them, pushed back on my insistence to find a new school for our son, even though he was being bullied because she didn't feel like causing a scene. Our son is in a new school now, and he's much happier. I was fed up and refused to give in. I can't let my son go through this, and I'm not letting him lose friends because of my wife's selfishness. After literally following my wife around the house, trying to get her to talk to me, she said, "Fine. If you want it your way, you can plan this party yourself." So I did. I planned the party myself besides the invitation, location, and date, which were already planned. My wife also demanded on picking out the cake, and that wasn't a hill I was willing to die on. It wasn't anything special, but I'm actually kind of proud. It was Jurassic Park themed, my son, and I just watched all the movies together, and he adores them. He's really excited for the new one. I themed each table around different dinosaurs and put little plastic dinosaurs everywhere. As for the party favors, I gave out little bags of candy. Nothing amazing, but the kids were happy. My son was thrilled, and no fish were harmed in the making of this party. After the party, my wife kept telling me how lame everything was, that the party was boring, and the kids weren't literally jumping up and down for my candy party favors like they were for hers. Frankly, I don't care. Sure, the kids didn't have a brand new pet to bring home, but at least my party favors didn't piss off all of our friends and doom my son to a life of friendlessness. Truly, I don't know how things are going to go with my wife and I. I'm reaching my limit with her insanity. I've tried insisting on marriage counseling, but she refused unless it was done by the pastor of our church. We went, and it was a whole session of the pastor telling me I'm not a good enough man to take care of my wife, about how I'm turning away from God with my actions, and that's ruining our marriage. Needless to say, we haven't gone back, and ever since. My wife loves to use this session against me in arguments. I loved her, but I'm finding it harder each day to keep being in love. I hate the idea of my son thinking this is a happy marriage, and that this is a healthy way to live. Divorce scares me, but I don't know if I can live with this anymore. In the end, thank you, Reddit, for helping me realize that there's a lot going wrong in my marriage, far beyond a forced fish adoption crisis. I have a lot to think about. But for now, I'm going to finish watching Jurassic World with my son, who's curled up in my lap. BTW, 2 of the 3 fish we had to take home last year are still going strong. They've grown on me, but damn, I'm never getting another fish-relevant comments. Commenter 1. Divorce and happy and focusing on your son is more important than miserable and putting your son in a home with a narcissistic wife. Reply. I can absolutely understand this. My son is my priority. Her church puts a ton of pressure to never divorce. She gets so much support through them, they view me as the bad guy. Commenter 2. Get a divorce and pick the guitar back up. Reply. I actually did pick the guitar back up not too long ago. When my wife realized I wasn't going to stop for good after all, she demanded that I only play when she and our son weren't home, because he finds it annoying too. That last part hurt deeply, so I asked my son if he's bothered by it at all, and he said no, and that he actually wants to learn how to play too. Is OOP and his wife planning to have another kid? Reply. She keeps asking me to have another kid, because it'll bring us closer and solve our issues. We keep getting asked at church, when are you having another one? Absolutely not. I'm not going through this again. Update 2 ATA for shutting down my wife's party favor idea. TLDR. My wife gave out fish as party favors at my son's birthday party, got mad at me when I refused to let her do it again, had me plan the whole party, which I'm very proud of, and think I did a great job, and now I'm questioning my whole marriage after her behavior. I took a lot of your comments to hear about divorce and abuse. I've taken a lot of immaturity from my wife over the years, but I told myself I was in the wrong. It's easy to see from the outside that I was in a bad situation, but when you're in it, you don't realize how tough everything gets, because it becomes your normal. The fish story was just a tipping point. Went on vacation a couple weeks ago. We traveled down to Georgia to stay with my wife's parents. To put some perspective on how I've been manipulated throughout this marriage. My in-laws agree with their daughter on just about every disagreement we've had. They once sat me down and lectured me about how I'm not making enough money to support their daughter, that she shouldn't have to work, and that I'm not a good enough man or husband because I don't take her to Disneyland every year. They're very much ingrained in the church culture, hence why my wife relies on her church friends for literally every bit of advice during our trip. We all went to Cracker Barrel. The whole time, my Mael and Fael didn't talk once to each other. They stared at their phones or at their menus. Everything just felt so cold and uncomfortable. They weren't in love. They seemed just annoyed to be around each other. And it hit me. That's my wife and I exactly. And that's how it's going to be for the rest of our lives. It's not going to get better. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried. It wasn't about the fish or her wearing a swimsuit to a wedding. I wasn't happy. I was being gaslit constantly, blamed for everything, and was stuck in an emotionally abusive marriage with a childish wife who won't take no for an answer and wants everything her way, or else I'm apparently a horrible monster. I told my wife later that evening that I wasn't happy with our marriage. Maybe I shouldn't have started this conversation on vacation, but I just needed to get everything off my chest. She admitted she wasn't happy either, but just kept telling me that we should try to make things better. That we needed to stay together for our son. When I asked her what we can do to make things better, she said, "I don't know, I don't want to talk about this right now." We left it at that and went to bed. We really weren't getting anywhere. We didn't say a word about it for the rest of the trip. We spent a lot of time apart. I took my son for walks and hikes that my wife didn't want to go on. We all watched movies together, trying to keep the happy act up to avoid ruining the trip for our son. It sucked, but I do think he had a good time regardless of everything. A couple days after we got home from the trip, I got a call from my mom. She was in tears on the other end, asking about my marriage and what was happening between us. Apparently, my wife had called my mom to vent about how terrible of a partner I was, about how I demanded we have sex not true. Our intimacy in general was extremely lacking, and she shut down any attempt without negotiation or conversation. I never demanded anything, how I don't make enough to allow her to be a stay-at-home mom. She hates cooking and cleaning. I'm not even sure what she would do all day as a stay-at-home mom, and again about how controlling I was. I tried reassuring my mom as best as I could, and she said she understood that I had good reasons for how I was behaving in our marriage, but that essentially fractured my relationship between my wife and my mom, and pushed the end of our marriage. I confronted my wife. It wasn't this big, dramatic, emotional moment. I was just done. I was apathetic, hollow. I felt nothing for her anymore. I told her this is not how a person treats someone they love. Do you even love me? After a long pause, my wife said, "No, I honestly don't love you," and in truth, I didn't love her anymore. I ended it there, telling her, "Fine, we're getting a divorce." And all she said was, "That's your decision if that's what you want." So that's where we're at. We haven't started anything legally official yet, but we're on our way. I'm sleeping on the couch. She's declared she wants to keep all the pets, except the fish, of course. My son is taking it well. We told him together and all he said was, "It's okay." I knew it was going to happen soon. He's so incredibly smart and mature at 8 years old, and I'm really grateful he understands. We reassured him that we both love him dearly, and that even though this is a big change, we're all going to do everything we can to make this easy. As for her church, I found out all along she was sleeping with the pastor. Nah, I'm just kidding. For some backstory on our church experience, I used to be pretty religious and attended Church A with my wife. I started questioning my faith and told her how I was feeling. She got so angry, angrier than I've ever seen her. She tried to hit me, so I blocked her arm. My wife then screamed at me for putting my hands on her and tried to leave with our son. He was 4 at the time. I refused to let him go with her, and she stormed off on her own. My wife told all of our church friends how much of a monster I was for what I did, to the point where they started encouraging her to call the police on me. She never did. She just told me that's what they advised her to do. After that, I refused to go to that church, and later joined Church B. Why? which my wife joined too. She wasn't motivated to go to church A without me. We left church B for a multitude of reasons. Terrible leadership, money laundering, poor treatment of our son, and my wife insisted we go back to church A. I tried, but everyone there treated me so coldly. Not once after the incident did any one of my friends from church ask how I was doing, or if what they were told was true. I stopped going to church altogether, and she kept going. Now, they've all but excommunicated me, and I never plan to speak to any one of them again. I have a long road ahead of me, but I'm just grateful to be taking the steps I need to be happy and free from this marriage. Thank you, Reddit. In a way, I always knew something had to change, but seeing your replies helped validate everything I was feeling and made me feel a bit less crazy. Top comments. Commenter 1. The fact that she has a history of lying to make you look bad could make this a very nasty divorce. Lawyer up and start documenting. Commenter 2. Please write down and keep track of everything. I have a feeling she isn't going to be fair when it comes to custody and visitation. I would insist on 50-50 ed. Stay involved in your son's life, including his school stuff. You will need to show the court you are involved. And they do ask the teachers, and above all, your son needs to know that he is still important to you. And one way is to be involved of those aspects of his day-to-day life. Commenter 3. NTA. It sounds like you finally saw the truth of your marriage and acted on it. Staying for the sake of appearances would have just kept you both miserable. Divorce sucks. But freedom and peace are worth it, and your son seems smart enough to see you made the right call. Stories number 8. My wife's workday versus mine made me realize I might never be that focused. So yesterday, my wife worked from home. Normally, she goes into the office 3 or 4 days a week, and I've always kind of had this fuzzy picture of her job. She has meetings, does a ton of projects, and somehow always manages to stay on top of everything. I never really thought about what her workday looked like up close, but seeing it firsthand, honestly, it kind of wrecked me. She set up her laptop at 8:55 a.m., coffee in hand, notebook open, and then at 9:00 sharp, she was just locked in. No phone, no browsing, no warming up period. She literally worked from 9 to 12 like a machine. I mean, not in a cold way. She was typing, reading, adjusting spreadsheets, writing, all while listening to these intense conference calls. But she didn't so much as glance at her phone or wander off at 12. She stood up, stretched, and made lunch. She sat with me for a full hour, relaxed, laughing, scrolling through memes. And then at 1 she just flipped the switch back. From 1 to 6, she powered through again, with only maybe 2 short breaks when she had calls or had to grab water. She didn't complain. She didn't procrastinate. She just got it done. Meanwhile, me? I worked maybe 3 real hours out of 8. And it's not like I wasn't trying. I'd sit down, start something, get a little momentum, then find myself drifting to Reddit, checking the news, wandering into the kitchen. Before I knew it, 45 minutes were gone. I'd get back to my laptop, try again, and then somehow lose track scrolling through emails that didn't even matter. By the end of the day, my actual focused work time was embarrassingly low. And here's the kicker. My wife just does this every day. It wasn't a special day or a deadline day. When I asked her if that's how she always works, she looked at me like I had 2 heads and said, "Yeah, of course I have to get my stuff done." It hit me right then that in 6 years of working full-time, I don't think I've ever managed to work that efficiently for a full day. Not once. I've tried everything: Pomodoro timers, to-do list apps, blocking social media, even those focus playlists on Spotify. Some days I get close to being in the zone, but it never lasts. It always feels like I'm fighting my own brain. Meanwhile, my wife just doesn't need tricks. She has discipline like it's second nature. And honestly, I think it's genetics. I know people love to say anyone can be productive if they find the right system. But I've been experimenting for years. My wife doesn't need a system. She doesn't need hacks or apps or accountability buddies. She just sits down and works, because that's how her brain is wired. Watching her yesterday made me realize I might never have that level of focus, and that's kind of terrifying. Like, If some people are just naturally capable of putting in 6 to 7 hours of solid deep work, while I cap out at 3, doesn't that mean I'll always be behind, no matter how hard I try? It honestly feels unfair. I don't think I'm lazy. I show up, I finish projects, I keep my job, but I know I'm not maximizing my time. And when I compare myself to her, it's night and day. I'm not jealous of her exactly. I'm proud of her, she's incredible. But I'm shaken because now I see up close that some people just run on a higher setting. And maybe I just wasn't built like that. I don't even know what to do with that realization update. Seeing my wife's work habits versus mine. So I posted a while back about how watching my wife work from home for the first time kind of broke me. She worked straight through with insane focus while I barely managed 3 hours of real work. I admitted it made me realize I might never be wired like her. Maybe it's genetics, maybe discipline, maybe both. I didn't expect so many responses, but I read every single one. Some of you were kind, some were brutally honest, and a lot of you said the same thing. It sounds like you might have ADHD. At first I kind of rolled my eyes. I'm 33. I've made it through school, college, and 6 years of working without anyone ever suggesting ADHD. I thought ADHD meant hyper kids who couldn't sit still, but after reading comment after comment from people describing their own struggles, I had a holy shit moment. The constant distraction, the guilt, the way I'll avoid tasks even when they're simple, the bursts of productivity followed by long slumps. It all lined up. So I started reading about it. Then I brought it up to my wife. Her reaction surprised me. She didn't laugh. She didn't say I was overreacting. She just nodded and said, "I was wondering when you'd think of that." Turns out she's noticed my patterns for years, but didn't want to make me feel attacked. She always thought I had something going on, but assumed I'd figure it out when I was ready. That same week, I booked an appointment with my doctor. Long story short, I'm now officially in the process of getting evaluated for ADHD. But here's the thing. While I wait, I've been experimenting. What changed? Since my first post, I stopped comparing myself directly to my wife. She's incredible, but she's not the yardstick for my life. She's like a marathon runner who can just keep going. I'm more of a sprinter who needs intervals. That doesn't make me useless. It just means I need a different rhythm. I started working in sprints, 2 to 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, classic Pomodoro. At first it felt stupid and forced, but slowly, I started noticing that I was racking up more total focused hours than before. Some days I hit 5 to 6 real hours, which is a huge leap from my old 3. I talked to my boss. I was nervous about this, but I framed it as, I've been working on improving my focus, and I realized I thrive when I break projects into smaller chunks. To my shock, my boss was supportive. He even admitted he struggles too and uses similar tricks. My wife became my accountability partner. Not in a strict way. She doesn't hover or nag, but she'll check in after lunch like, "How's your day going?" And just knowing she'll ask keeps me honest. Therapy, I started seeing a therapist once a week. We're not even on meds yet. That's still being evaluated, but just having someone to talk through my habits with has been game-changing. The emotional side. Here's the part I didn't expect. I've stopped hating myself. When I made the first post, I was genuinely scared I was less than. Like my wife was born with a better brain and I'd forever be trailing behind. Now I realize it's not about being broken. It's about understanding how I operate. The funniest part? My wife told me she actually admires me. She said she envies how I can switch between tasks, how I can dive into random creative projects, how I have bursts of energy where I'll reorganize the entire garage at 9 p.m. She said, "You think I'm some robot machine, but I look at you and see freedom. I'm jealous sometimes." That floored me, so instead of spiraling about how I'll never be her, I've started embracing the idea that maybe I bring something different to the table. She brings consistency and focus. I bring flexibility and creativity. Together, we actually balance each other out where I'm at. Now my average real work time is up to 4 to 5 hours a day. Some days still suck, but I don't beat myself up as much. I'm in the process of official ADHD testing, and if meds are on the table, I'm open to trying. I've stopped framing it as genetics doomed me. Instead, I see it as, my wiring is different, and I need tools to work with it. I'm not fixed. I still procrastinate. I still get sucked into Reddit rabbit holes, case in point. Writing this update at midnight instead of sleeping. But for the first time in years, I feel like there's a path forward, and honestly, watching my wife still motivates me. Not in a depressing way anymore, but in a she inspires me to keep tweaking until I find what works kind of way. If anyone reading this relates to my first post, seriously, consider getting evaluated. Because holy hell, it might not be that you're lazy or broken. It might just be your brain needs a different playbook. Final update. Learning to work with my brain instead of against it. It's been about 6 months since my original post where I compared myself to my wife's insane focus, and a few months since my last update when I started exploring ADHD as a possibility. A lot has happened, and I thought it was only fair to come back with a final update because the support and stories I got from strangers here genuinely shifted the course of my life. Diagnosis and treatment. After a long evaluation process, I was officially diagnosed with ADHD, combined type. When my psychiatrist first said it, I actually cried in my car afterward. Not because I was upset, but because I felt relieved. It explained so much. Why I could hyperfocus for 10 hours on a hobby project but not get through a 20-minute spreadsheet. Why I always felt like I was underachieving, no matter how much effort I put in. Why I would procrastinate to the point of self-sabotage. I started on a low dose of stimulant medication and worked with my psychiatrist to adjust it. The difference was night and day. It wasn't some magical, now I'm a productivity machine. How? But it felt like someone turned the static in my brain down. Tasks I used to avoid didn't feel as overwhelming. Building systems medication wasn't a cure-all, though I also committed to building systems around my brain instead of trying to force myself to work like my wife. Some things that stuck: time blocking my day. I split my work into 90-minute pods with breaks. It's long enough to dive in, but not so long that I crash accountability check-ins. My wife and I have this funny ritual where she asks at dinner, "So what's one win today?" It forces me to reflect on progress instead of just spiraling about what I didn't do. Environment control. I set up a deep work zone in our spare room. No phone, no distractions. Just me, noise-canceling headphones, and the task at hand: marriage. Impact. This whole journey actually brought me and my wife closer. In my first post, I was low-key resentful of how effortlessly she seemed to focus compared to me. Now, I understand it's not a character flaw on my part, it's different wiring. And she's been amazing throughout all of this. She reads articles about ADHD. She celebrates my little wins, and she reminds me that focus doesn't equal worth. Funny enough, our differences are starting to work for us instead of against us. She's steady and structured. I'm creative and flexible. When she gets stuck in perfectionism, I remind her to move on. When I get distracted, she gently grounds me. We've become more of a team. Work impact. Before, my average real work time was 3 hours a day. Now I'm consistently hitting 6 to 7. My boss even noticed and said, "I don't know what you've been doing, but keep doing it." I also got brave enough to tell HR about my ADHD. I framed it as a strength. I have a brain that thrives on high-intensity focus in short bursts, so I'm leaning into project-based work where I excel. Shockingly, they were supportive. I've been trusted with more creative problem-solving tasks, which actually play to my strengths, instead of exposing my weaknesses. The emotional shift. Here's the biggest change. I don't hate myself anymore. I used to think I was just lazy, defective, or genetically doomed to be less than my wife. Now I realize I was playing the game on hard mode without the right tools. Once I got the right diagnosis, support, and systems, everything changed. I won't lie. I still struggle. There are still days when I doom scroll Reddit instead of working. There are still times I forget deadlines. But instead of spiraling into self-loathing, I've learned to reset, adjust, and move forward. And the wildest part? My wife admitted the other day, "Watching you figure this out has actually inspired me to rethink how I work too. I realized I've been so rigid that I don't let myself take breaks, and I'm learning from you how to rest." That blew my mind. The person I once thought I'd never measure up to is now learning from me. Closing thoughts. So yeah. To anyone reading this who feels like they're broken because they can't work like the productive people in their lives, you're not broken. You might just need a different approach. Whether that's ADHD, anxiety, or something else, you deserve to understand your brain instead of constantly punishing yourself for not fitting someone else's mold. For me, it was ADHD. For someone else, it might just be restructuring habits. But either way, I learned the most important thing. Focus isn't a moral virtue. Productivity doesn't equal worth. And with the right tools, I can actually thrive, just differently, than my wife does, and that's okay. Stories number 9. My 8-year-old son hates me, and I don't understand why. I used to believe that your relationship with your children was a given. To clarify, I believed that as long as you treated your children with love, they were guaranteed to love you back, and that the most you had to worry about if you did the right things was some kind of terrible illness or accident that ended them early. I'm here today to warn you that's not true. There are worse possible outcomes. My son is 8 years old, and I can not be in the same room as him without being attacked. He will scratch, hit, and bite me constantly until we are separated. He bites as hard as he can. My arms are 50% bruises right now, from partially healed wounds I have done nothing to deserve this, and I've tried everything to reach him. I've tried love, discipline, ignoring him, reasoning. Nothing sticks, and as the years have gone on, it's only gotten worse. He's already in therapy. We've already tried to get him diagnosed with something. We've tried meds. We've tried no meds. We don't know what's going on, nor does his therapist or doctors. On Thursday, I watched a movie about time, very bittersweet movie about how time is limited, and we need to enjoy it. There's a scene where a boy of about 8 is playing on the beach with his father for the last time, enjoying one last beautiful day together. I absolutely lost it. My son only communicates with me through violence. Last night I finally gave up. I cried for hours and let go of any expectation I had of having a loving relationship with him. He's 8 years old and hates my guts. There are worse outcomes than outliving your children. Please don't take your loved ones for granted. Edit. Thank you to everyone for the advice. Special shout out to the super weirdo anti-catalysts, particularly the feminist, who made super sure to tell me she was a feminist before telling me to have a post-birth abortion. No single comment made me realize how ahead of the game I am as a parent. Than that one, we are getting a second psych evaluation soon, so I'll write a second post with results of that. Many of you are absolutely convinced someone else is abusing him, and are unwilling to accept evidence to the contrary. There is no sign of anyone in his life abusing him, nor is there much opportunity. When he's not at school, he's with us, save for a few rare occasions where we get a trusted, close family babysitter to go on a date. We've asked him if anyone is hurting him or touching him, and he has said no, and we make sure both our kids understand what's inappropriate and know they should tell us of anyone tries anything like that. This is the least likely possibility. Edit. I've created a follow-up post for those who are interested. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. How is the relationship between your son and his mother? Reply. Mostly normal, except the added strain of how he treats me. We have a healthy, loving marriage and a daughter as well. Everything outside my son is as you'd expect. Commenter 2. I've read something similar before. Is it possible that on some level, your son either sees you as a threat to his relationship with his mother, or is jealous of your relationship with her, and is therefore attacking you to get you to step away? I remember reading about a young boy who was feral to his father because he felt some need to protect his mother, and couldn't stand that anyone else would love her. He was violent towards his sibling too. I really wish I could remember where I read it. Reply. This is a possible theory. Just one of many. We have no particular reason to believe this over any other theory. Commenter 3. Real question. How is he with animals? The way you describe his behavior seems antisocial at minimum. If he's violent with you and callous about animals, there could be a touch of sociopathy or psychopathy at play. And at 8 years old, chances are he's not opening up to his therapist about his issues. He's probably giving a lot of I don't know answers when asked questions. which is how kids react when they think they are in trouble for their behavior. Reply. He definitely doesn't open up about why he does anything. No signs of violence towards anyone or anything other than me. How is OOP's son at school? Any issues? Appearing? Reply. We just had a yearly meeting with his special needs team at school. They had only good things to say. No indication of bullying. He loves friends and people except. One, has there been any other explanations for OP's son's behaviors? Reply. As I mentioned, we have taken him several places. He's diagnosed with, and we have told them, ADHD isn't the wild story, but they seem stumped. We will keep trying. He may be on the spectrum, seems to have anxiety and sensory processing issues. But doctors aren't diagnosing him with anything other than, and so far I wasn't a perfect child, but I'm neurologically typical. Commenter 4. What age did this start? Does he physically attack anyone else besides you? Does he attack you when you are alone, when you are with family, and when you are in public? Do the two of you ever have normal interactions? Morning, midday, or night? For example, if you were driving somewhere in a car, would he literally be attacking you while you were driving? Has he seen a psychiatrist or psychologist? Reply. No. Yes. Yes. No, normal interactions are very rare. It's been months. He will attack me while driving, typically throwing things at me. We've told him it's dangerous and can cause an accident, and then we did get in an accident over the summer and he stopped. The accident was the other driver's fault, not my son's. Yes. Commenter 5. How old is your daughter? How does she respond when he's violent? How old was he when this started? Is inpatient treatment possible? This cannot continue and will probably get worse as he gets bigger. Eventually, he will be able to take you out. Reply. She is 5. She will comfort me almost daily. Honestly, IDK what she does when he's acting up. I'm focused on not bleeding. He was 5 when it started. At first it was just throwing things at walls. Then there was a time where he just hated me, but wasn't attacking me. Now it's directed at me, rather than the walls. I'm not sure we are quite ready for inpatient treatment, but that's starting to enter the conversation. Update. 1. I'd like to thank the insane people on my last post who told me to give up on my son. The laughs were therapeutic, and also please never have kids of your own. We took him to get evaluated again, as it was pretty clear what we were dealing with was more than just ADHD. It took us a while to find a place we thought would do it right this time. Then it took some more time to get a slot, but today we got the official diagnosis. He has the ADHD, and a severe version of it, but he's also mildly autistic. On top of this, he has high anxiety and signs of depression. Some of you were suggesting pandas and ODD, and he does seem to have some of those symptoms, but like the autism, there are things about him that don't fit those diagnoses. There are things about him that aren't typical of autism. For instance, he loves being social. These inconsistencies, and the fact he was younger and had severe ADHD which masked the autism, made an autism diagnosis difficult at that time. So why does he hate me? As best I understand it so far, this is what happened. When he was halfway into kindergarten is when it started. His disabilities caused him to struggle as compared to his peers, which led to feelings of inadequacy. Being 5, he didn't have the tools to handle that, so he began coming home from school and destroying the house as a way to express his feelings. We would try to reason with him patiently, but he wouldn't hear it. We tried many other ways of helping him, but the house was getting destroyed, and the only thing that would get him to stop would be sharp, loud commands from my scary male voice. Stop that. So that's what I would do every time he started acting up, because that's what worked. What I was doing, though I didn't know it, was using his anxiety to scare him into behaving better. As time went on and I continued this, I became this scary figure in his life to be feared. The anxiety built, until it became a complicated hate. So where are we now? He doesn't attack me on sight usually, which is an improvement, but when I come home from work he often wants to be alone in his room now. When we go out in public things are better, but at home the anxiety he attaches to me is still present, though not as intense. How did I fix it? First, I stayed away. I let things chill out for a few weeks, and when he would attack me, instead of getting angry and punishing him, defending myself by shoving him off me, I remained calm and had my wife correct him instead. Then, I decided I needed to talk to him about all this. I knew that going to his room meant immediate bleeding on my part. So I would armor up in a winter coat and gloves, enter his room, and calmly fend his attacks off. It would end with me restraining him on the floor and just taking to him about his behavior, and why it lead to my behavior, and why I never meant to be scary, but I had to be scary to stop the madness. This had a little bit of a positive effect, but it took a long time. I did this routine for weeks without much progress. He would attack me, I would restrain him, I would talk and ask him to open up, and he would be silent. Then I finally found something that clicked. I told him I loved him, and always would, and that I thought he was a special and talented kid, and that I would always be proud of him. He cried in my arms and got angry and wanted me to stop, but I pushed through. So then for a couple weeks I kept letting him know that, and over time his reaction to it became normalized, which is how I knew he really believed and understood it. Now we have a routine I call Daddy Therapy Time, and when I come in his room and say let's talk, he gets straight like a pencil on his bed, and I kinda compress him into the bed, and his head hangs off, which he likes for some reason. He has been opening up gradually and actually talking instead of just me talking. Some days are still hard. He still takes everything out on me, but that's okay. Better me than anyone else, that's my job. I still get bit and scratched, but less often now, and I think things will continue to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. For you overwhelmed parents out there, keep trying. There's hope. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Highly recommend getting your son a weighted blanket. The right weight is 10% of his weight. These help autistic folks due to the compression. It helps them sleep, soothes anxiety, and has been a saving tool of a friend. Nothing worked for him to sleep properly his whole life. Then he got a weighted blanket and slept all night for the first time in decades, maybe ever. He's unsure. He told me it's greatly relieved his anxiety and doesn't worry about many things that happen anymore. Best of continued success and joy for your family. Reply. Thanks for the tip. We did get him a weighted blanket, but he doesn't like it. Commenter. Too bad. If weighted things are a no, maybe a light blanket with something he loves on it? You mentioned he likes to lay with his head hanging off the bed. Maybe he would really like a sensory swing. Reply. I'll look into a swing. That's new to me. Commenter 3. You unintentionally became a weighted blanket for him. That's very funny and very cute, haha. Reply. Yeah, and I guess the head hanging over the bed is also a form of therapy too. All I knew was that's what he wanted, and it seemed to work, so I just kinda accidentally came up with it. Update 2. Hey folks. I was inspired to give you an update because 2 things have happened recently. No more outbursts. No more biting or attacking me. No more throwing things at the walls. As a result, we've repainted and put the decorations back up. He made some art at school of what he loves the most, and I made the cut with his mom. Things have been great lately. Back to relative normal, I think I mentioned this, but he has ADHD, mild autism, mild ODD, high anxiety, mild depression. This made parenting tricky since negative behavior correction triggered his ODD, but positive correction was also something he hates. We still do the daddy therapy time, but not daily, only as needed. When I need to correct behavior, I press him into his bed or the couch and tell him what he did wrong and what to do instead. He only takes it well using this method. We started sending him to neurotherapy, which is something where they put electrodes on his head and have him do tasks. It sounded like crazy, woo-woo sci-fi stuff to me, but I swear it's working. When his therapist went on vacation for 2 weeks, we noticed a difference. IDK how long we will be able to afford to do it with the way the economy is going. But hopefully as long as he needs. I've been doing Cub Scouts with him one-on-one, which has helped restore our own relationship. Forcing the one-on-one time with me was important to get things to start to turn around. To those of you with similar struggles, hang in there. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. So happy to see this update. I remember when you posted the first time. Hope this can shine a hopeful light to parents who are struggling. Neurodivergent kids tell us what they need. We need to be open to hear it. Very proud and happy for you and your family. Reply. My son very rarely tell us what he needs actually. Almost never, but thank you. Commenter 2. Thank you for the update. Went back and read through your other threads, and great to see the improvements and steps you've taken to get there. Definitely aspects I'm continuing to learn in my own journey. Stories. Number 10. My neighbor keeps leaving their elderly mom on my porch like I'm a free daycare, and I finally had to put my foot down. I never thought I'd write something like this. But here we are. I, 34M, work from home. Live in a small but close-knit neighborhood. For the most part, it's peaceful. The kind of place where people wave at each other, mow their lawns on Saturdays, and drop off cookies at Christmas. I generally get along with everyone. I'm not the loud neighbor, not the nosy neighbor, just the guy who likes to do his work, keep his head down, and mind his business. Next door lives a woman named Rachel, mid-40s, with her elderly mother, Evelyn. Probably late 70s, maybe early 80s. Evelyn is quiet, frail, and honestly very sweet. I've had small chats with her before. About flowers, the weather, her old recipes. She reminds me a bit of my grandmother who passed away a few years back, so I've always been kind toward her. Here's where the issue started. About 6 months ago, Rachel rang my doorbell one morning while I was on a Zoom meeting. When I answered, she apologized for the interruption and said she needed to run a quick errand. Could she leave Evelyn on my porch for just a little bit? She explained that her mom didn't like being left alone inside, and she thought it'd be comforting for Evelyn to sit outside where she could wave to neighbors, maybe talk to me through the door if she wanted, caught off guard and wanting to be nice. I said, "Sure, that's fine." I figured it'd be 30 minutes tops. Rachel set Evelyn up on one of my porch chairs, thanked me, and drove off. Well, 30 minutes turned into nearly 2 hours. I was working the whole time but kept glancing out the window, worried Evelyn might slip, get overheated, or just need something. She was fine, but I couldn't focus properly. By the time Rachel returned, I was frazzled. Still, I bit my tongue and told myself it was a one-time thing, except it wasn't. The next week, it happened again. Then again. Soon, it became a pattern. Rachel would knock, sometimes not even ask anymore, just wave, plop her mom down on my porch and head off for God knows how long. Sometimes it'd be an hour, sometimes 3. Evelyn never complained. But I felt increasingly trapped. I didn't agree to babysit her. I work from home full-time as a project manager for a tech company, and my days are packed with deadlines, meetings, and calls. I'm responsible for teams across time zones, and interruptions cost me real money and credibility. But the worst part was the gnawing guilt. Every time Evelyn sat there, I felt responsible. What if she fainted? What if she needed the bathroom? What if she wandered into the street? Even though Rachel would say, "Don't worry, you don't need to do anything," the reality was that I was the one physically present. If something went wrong, it would fall on me. I kept thinking. I wouldn't even leave my dog outside unattended for hours. How can someone leave their elderly parent like this? One afternoon it boiled over. It was a Friday. I had a critical client presentation over Zoom. 10 minutes before it started, Rachel rang the bell, Evelyn in tow. I cracked the door and whispered, "I'm really sorry, but I can't do this right now. I have a meeting." Rachel frowned and said, "Oh, she'll be fine. She just likes sitting outside." "You don't need to watch her," I said. "That's not the point. I'll feel responsible. I can't concentrate if she's here." She rolled her eyes and muttered, "You work from home. You're here anyway." Then she just left. I was stunned. I had to literally mute my call twice to peek out the window and make sure Evelyn wasn't trying to walk off the porch. Afterward, I was stressed out of my mind that evening. I went over to Rachel's and told her directly, "I can't be responsible for your mom like that anymore. It's too much. Please don't leave her on my porch while you run errands." Rachel got defensive. She said I was overreacting, that Evelyn wasn't a burden, that I didn't have to babysit. Just let her sit there. I repeated myself, I am not comfortable with this arrangement. Since then, Rachel's been cold to me. She still waves if she has to, but I can tell she's annoyed. I overheard her once telling another neighbor that I lack compassion, and that some people just don't value family. That hurt, because I do care about Evelyn. That's why I felt so guilty every time, but I also have my own responsibilities in life. It's not fair to put me in that position without asking properly or respecting my boundaries. And honestly, it's made me view Rachel differently. I don't understand how someone can casually dump their parent on a neighbor's porch for hours like that. It feels neglectful at best, manipulative at worst. Now I'm sitting here second-guessing myself. Did I cross a line by saying no? Was I too harsh? Or was I right to finally draw a boundary, because deep down, I still feel bad? I keep imagining Evelyn sitting in the heat or cold, and me being the only one who could have helped. But at the same time, I know I can't be the neighborhood-free elder care service just because I work from home. Comments. Commenter 1. I'd honestly called the police and then Adult Protective Services. If you have that in your area that some rando old lady has been left on your porch. Who knows?
How else she's being neglected?
Commenter 2. If she hurts herself while on your property, you can get sued. Don't allow them to put her there. Reply. I didn't know this. I have now a more valid and firm reason to make them stop. Commenter 3. NTA, however kind you aren't responsible for their mother. I would be tempted to tell them you'll call the police next time it happens. It's not your job and you're right to be worried if something happens to her. Would you be liable? Could they sue you if she gets hurt on your property? I'm not a lawyer, but I wonder if this falls under elder neglect. Reply. Thank you for emphasizing this because all I think is about the guilt, and I forgot to think about the legal matters. Commenter. Or I'm 69. And if she gets hurt even walking onto your property, you could be held liable. As a 69-year-old, I can say it is easy to trip and fall. Don't put your livelihood in danger like that. Give a warning and let them know. But if they continue, you need to protect yourself and call the police. Reply. Thank you for this idea from an elderly perspective. More reason to stand firm. Live. Long Granny. Stories number 11. Aita for telling my Sil that breastfeeding is not about her journey but about her starving baby. Is it really worth the fight? This isn't about me but about my Sil. I'm ND, so I'm sorry if I speak about a sensitive subject impolitely. I try my best not to offend anyone. I also don't have children, and I'm 19, so I probably don't know what I'm talking about. But please, if anyone can help us. English is not my native language. I'm sorry. My Sil Julia gave birth 2 months plus 3 days ago to a little 285-kilogram baby girl, Amanda. We live in Europe, in a country that's pushing for breastfeeding, no matter what. So Julia was very keen on breastfeeding. The baby lost a lot of weight in the first week. I don't remember how much exactly, and has been seen by multiple doctors since then. In her first month of life, the baby gained weight up to 32 kilo. My mom has asked Julia multiple times to give the baby formula because the baby was constantly crying and had hunger cues. My mom breastfed all of us 5 children, and she's very supportive of breastfeeding. She was just very worried about little Amanda, but Julia kept refusing, saying that only her milk counts, and she won't be poisoning her daughter with formula on her monthly checkup. The doctors said that Amanda is starving and she needs to eat. And so my SEL started going to multiple lactation consultants. They told her to pump around the clock, to top up the feedings with pumped milk, etc. But she refused to give Amanda a bottle because she said that if she introduced the bottle, then Amanda would never latch again, so she started feeding her like 20 ml of milk after each feed with a kind of feeding tube she put in Amanda's mouth. I don't know what to call it. Amanda didn't gain any weight for another 1.5 weeks, even though she was nursing every 3 hours around the clock, each feed 50 minutes, plus top-ups. Julia asked her mom friends for milk donations, and she started using that milk in the same manner for top-ups, because she was able to pump only 50 ml per day. That's when Amanda gained a tiny bit of weight. 345 kg. Finally, 1.5 weeks ago, another lactation consultant told her that she needs to top up each feed with 80-90 ml of pumped milk, and she started doing it. And Amanda finally calmed down and started gaining weight. She's now 379 kg as of today. They also had her checked for tongue tie, and she didn't really have one, but just a tiny bit of slightly thickened frenulum. They had solved the same day 1 week ago. Today, my SIL visited a lactation consultant, and she told Julia that now she can give Amanda less milk as a top-up since the baby is gaining weight, and they want to check if the smaller amount of milk for 1 week will still make Amanda gain some weight. My mom is terrified of this idea because she doesn't want to see Amanda starving again, especially now that she has finally started looking pink instead of gray. My brother doesn't really care because he follows whatever Julia is saying. The lactation consultant also did a weight feed but only 20 minutes because they had other patients. And in those 20 minutes, Amanda transferred 25 milliliters of milk from the breast. We don't know what to do. We know that breastfeeding is important for babies and mothers. We admire all the women who do this. But this became total craziness. Julia is constantly talking about nursing and pumping. Nursing and pumping. There's nothing that matters to her more than breastfeeding. We told her multiple times that she's a wonderful mom, and she should relax with this and de-stress, and sometimes other options might be better for both the mom and the baby, but she won't listen. She's power pumping once a day, taking supplements, pumping regularly 8 times per day, and she's only leaving the house for a visit to a doctor's or lactation consultant. Amanda doesn't even go outside for a walk in the stroller. The only time Julia is taking her out is when they're driving to an appointment. She's managing now to pump around 100 milliliters per day, and the lactation consultants are telling her that soon she will be able to fully breastfeed Amanda. Except that the feeds still take around 50 minutes, and without top-ups, Amanda would be admitted to the hospital. We want Julia to be happy, but she says she's happy when Amanda is nursing, and the most important thing for her is to experience her breastfeeding journey. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to talk to her. This is why I'm here, asking all the nursing mums, is it really worth the fight? Relevant comments on Julia's thoughts regarding bottle feeding and breastfeeding. Reply. She said she will never introduce bottles, and that breastfeeding counts only if the baby is nursing at the breast. If not for the donor's milk, Amanda would already be in the hospital. She is 9 weeks old and looks like a newborn. Commenter 1. It's worth talking to your brother about this, but not much else you can do. It's not your baby. Reply. My brother said that he doesn't recognize Julia anymore, but he will take steps only when the baby ends up in the hospital. Commenter 2. There's nothing wrong with bottle feeding, it's recommended to do both, so your baby has that skill developed. My son is 8 weeks, and I didn't give him a bottle for 4 weeks, and now he's refusing bottles. But trust me, I understand your concern. You and your family need to be there for her and show your concern. She could also seek therapy because PPD definitely could be a cause here. But the tool I used for combo feeding is called a bridge tool. Would definitely recommend that to her. Reply. Somebody in another sub told me to leave Julia alone because she's doing her best, so I'm not going to talk to Julia anymore, and neither will my mum. I feel bad that I was worried because it seems like there is no problem here. I hope I didn't offend anyone with this post, although it seems I did, and I'm sorry. Commenter 3. I swear your Sil is tired to her bones and wants to give up but still preserving on for Amanda. To show your support, please make her lactation cookies and offer to bring food for her well-nourished mum. Will have output or help with household chores to let her get more rest. Reply. We cannot visit or bring her any food because she said we will try to poison her. We used to be friends, so it makes me very sad. Nobody from the family saw Amanda in real life, even though my brother begged her to show her to us. Is Julia's mother helping her with the baby? Reply. Her mum cut her off after some drama right before the wedding. Like, we don't know what's happened, but nobody from her family ever contacted her anymore. We tried to be her family, and everything was fine before Amanda was born. So I've published the first part of this story before on breastfeeding and mom at subreddits, and I've been made feel like a monster because mother knows best. For the record, we are in Europe. I'm sorry for my English. And also I'm extremely emotional. My Sil Julia gave birth to a little Amanda 11 weeks ago. From the beginning, Amanda was barely growing, mostly losing weight instead of gaining. My country is heavily pro breastfeeding, and Julia decided that she wanted to breastfeed. However, Amanda wasn't gaining weight properly and landed in 0.1 percentile for weight. Julia forbade me and my mum from coming to visit them. She said we will poison her if we bring her food. It was surprising, especially that before she gave birth, we were good friends. So we only saw little Amanda on pictures and videos my brother has been sending to us, and only once. My mum said she's worried because Amanda looked like she's hungry. She was crying and writhing, pushing her fists into her mouth while Julia narrated on the video that this is how a happy baby looks like with a full belly. So my mum asked if Julia cannot give her a bottle because Amanda still seems hungry. Julia went berserk and cut us off completely. She was pumping, but her supply didn't go up at all. Amanda had a tongue tie resolved, but it didn't help much. Julia was using donor's milk to top up Amanda's feeds through a sonde. I don't know what this thing is called now. Every week they're visiting a doctor's office for a control checkup of the weight. This is where it gets really messy. They were there yesterday. And yesterday, my brother called us crying that Amanda is in the hospital. The story went like this. As always, Julia asked my brother to bring her coffee before the weighing appointment while she's using the nursing room to change Amanda's nappy. As always, he did. Except this time, a nurse went in the middle of it to ask Julia about some paperwork, and the nurse saw that Julia was feeding Amanda from a bottle right before the checkup. The bottle was 150 cc of milk, and it was already half down. The nurse said that Julia was supposed to wait with feeding until after the checkup, and then my brother came in. He got very mad. He said that Julia refused giving Amanda the bottles. So WTF was going on. Then he took the bottle, and at the same time Amanda vomited with a very, very thick milk. Nurse went crazy and checked the bottle. And it was filled with milk, mixed with rice cereal. The doctor who's been called to see it immediately ordered moving Amanda to the hospital for an emergency checkup, especially after seeing Julia, who went berserk and started throwing stuff around and yelling at everyone that she will be feeding her baby however and whenever she wants. We went to the hospital to see my brother. Amanda already had her blood tests done, and they showed some problems with kidneys, liver and vitamins level and iron. The doctors said she has been starving for a long time and why nobody from our family reacted. We told them the story about Julia, claiming that we will poison her. So the doctors immediately took Julia for a psych evaluation for PPD, but turns out she was faking it. She admitted to the doctor she was super scared that somebody might take the baby from her, that her friend told her that if she fakes PPD, we will leave her alone, and she will have peace of mind during her breastfeeding. The doctors then told her that what she did was not okay, and that she was regularly stuffing the baby with milk and cereal before the weight checkup, so as to pretend that Amanda grew, and that she should just give Amanda bottles with formula because this is about the little girl's life and survival, as she's now failure to thrive, and her life and health are in danger. Julia got very mad. She yelled that she will either breastfeed Amanda, or she won't feed her at all, and that the choice is only hers because this is her baby and nobody else's. Now this is when the doctors told Julia that either she will go for another psych evaluation, or they call the police. Julia agreed for the evaluation, and they locked her for a week. My brother is working 14 hours per day because they are poor, and after their wedding Julia decided she wants to be a traditional wife, and he has to earn their living. So my brother said that whatever Julia is doing, it must be right. But after seeing what was happening, he got super mad. He said that she starved Amanda on purpose for her own sick satisfaction, even though he was working hard on providing money, so they would be able to buy formula if needed. He said he wanted divorce and full custody over Amanda. We don't cow if he will get it, because it's rare for dad to take care of their daughters. Also, the doctors are mad at him that he didn't notice what Julia was doing. Before Julia went to the ward, I got angry and told her that she made monsters out of us, and that we were just worried about her and Amanda, and that those whole situation was always only about Julia and her breastfeeding journey, and not about Amanda's life. She called me a bitch and said I should have died in childhood because nobody can love an autistic person like me. Relevant comments. OP responds to a comment about women and breastfeeding. Reply: I know that women are very sensitive about breastfeeding. The other subs were very clear about it. That's why I'm asking. I don't like hurting people, but I care about our little Amanda, and I think she's the most important one in here, and not Julia and her breasts. Commenter 1. This is heartbreaking to read. Your niece's health should always come before your SIL's pride or desire to exclusively breastfeed. It sounds like the doctors are finally stepping in, which is good, but your brother really needs to wake up and advocate for Amanda before things get worse. Reply: he admits he made a lot of mistakes. He said he always trusted Julia and wanted the best for her and Aminata. He says he hates himself for what happened. My mum said we'll help him financially as much as we can. I also hope Julia will be okay. I really liked her before everything that happened, and she was always kind to me and was never bothered that I'm autistic. But mostly I pray. For Amanda commenter 2, NTA Julia is very mentally ill, and was willing to kill her baby to maintain some weird illusion, reply. The doctors say she may have schizophrenia or some kind of psychosis, or very dangerous mania. But if after the evaluation, they find out nothing, she probably won't get Amanda back. Commenter 3. Julia needs to be in a mental institution for a while, for Amanda's health. Clearly she isn't making rational decisions based on the best interest of her child. Your brother should document everything. Get affidavits from the doctors and nurse who witnessed this behavior, and on to court to get temporary custody, or a restraining order, or whatever the equivalents are in your country. Because keeping Amanda away from Julia for a while is critical. Support your brother as much as possible. Reply. She will be locked for a week, and then we will see what happens. We're very anxious. Update. Aita, for telling my SEL that breastfeeding is not about her journey, but about her starving baby. First of all, our little Amanda is doing good, and stays in the hospital. She's being fed with formula and bottles. My brother had to agree to this, and since yesterday gained 30°, she had more tests done, and we're waiting for the results. The doctors are also worried about the fact that Julia force-fed Amanda with cereal mixed with donor milk before the appointments, because apparently it can cause some problems with digestive system in the future, especially that they don't know for how long she's been doing it, and she doesn't want to admit it. Second, thank you all for your support. Also, thank you for the comments stating that we let Amanda down and put her in danger. Me and my mum realize it, and we feel terrible about it. Some people were questioning what happened, because my previous post in other groups stated that Julia is feeding Amanda, and that she's doing everything she can to provide milk for her. And yes, that is true. This is what we knew at that time. We didn't know Julia decided that it's either breast milk or nothing at all. She only said this in front of the doctors. My brother took vacation at work, and most of his time he stays with Amanda, but he will be moving in with us. All this time he's been working and later doing overtime under the hand, and he feels exhausted but says he had no other choice. He promised he will do everything he can to be a good father. We don't have any information about Julia, but no matter what, we worry about her. She's our family as well. She doesn't have her own family. She said before the wedding that she and the rest of her family had a fight, and they cut her off, so she is alone in this world, and we felt very sorry for her. We managed to get in touch with one of Julia's friends, Linda, who was donating milk to her. Linda was terrified with the story and admitted she was the one who told Julia to pretend that she's afraid of us poisoning her. All of it because Linda's mill was demanding to visit them after the birth, so she used this excuse for people to leave her alone. And apparently Julia said to Linda before giving birth that Amanda is only hers and only she has the right to hold her, and Michael, my brother, if really needed. And I don't understand this because my mum never asked to hold Amanda. In the hospital 2 days ago, it was the first time we saw Amanda in real life. Linda also told us that she introduced Julia to the Milk League, and there she found out all the bad things about formula and bottle feeding. Also, it turns out she never wanted to vaccinate Amanda, but my brother forced her to. Linda said she recommended Julia a couple of lactation consultants who apparently weren't real educated LCs, but some women with Instagram accounts claiming to know a lot about breastfeeding. This is all for now. This is all the information I gathered. The most important to me is that Amanda is safe with the doctors and nurses. I will update whenever I know something more, if you want. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I would want to contact Julia's family to find out why there is NC. Maybe this isn't her first mental breakdown. Definitely need the background and family medical history for Amanda's sake. Reply. My brother said that this is what the doctors ask him to do. They said that certain mental illnesses can be in the family, and they would like to know what's going on. My brother will try to contact them, but we have never seen them. So it's a bit complicated. Commenter 2. Hopefully he tries a bit harder than he did at being a proper parent. Anyone with half a brain cell can tell the difference between a fed baby and a starving one. Even if he was working 16 hours a day, all it takes is 30 seconds to look at his child. I've been told by 2 different family lawyers that at least in the US, A large reason that fathers have the alleged difficulty in getting sole custody is simply because they don't try. They assume they won't get it, so they don't fight for it. In his case, his wife tried to starve her baby because she's crazy. So he better step up. I suspect that his hours will actually go down if he isn't having to pay for his wife's needs on top of his child. Reply. The doctors told him that he screwed up and that he is a parent too. We're afraid they'll take Amanda away because of it. My mom already scheduled a meeting with a lawyer. Commenter. I hope you are in a place that will give your brother full custody. I don't think Julia is mentally capable of caring for a child. Reply. The thing is that Michael messed up as well, and he knows. We just hope they won't take Amanda away because of this. Commenter 4. I love how everyone is acting like the brother is a victim. He should be charged for neglect too. The fact that he isn't makes me suspect this is fake. Imagine what a shit father you have to be for this to go on so long and you don't even notice. Both your brother and his wife should be charged with neglect. Reply. Right now nobody is being charged yet. But he knows he is guilty as well as he knows Amanda might be taken away. My mom scheduled a meeting with a lawyer. This is the only thing we can do for now. I'll update when I know more. Commenter 5. How long did your brother know Julia before marrying her? I'm sure there is more to the family cutoff story. This is not someone who is mentally well, and I doubt this is the first time this has caused a crisis. Reply. Almost 1 year she told him she's from a religious family and she won't be waiting long for the wedding. He never met her family because she said they should meet only during the wedding. But they cut her off like 2 months before that. Update. 2. Aita for telling my SCL that breastfeeding is not about her journey, but about her starving baby. Happy news. Amanda is currently at our home doing very good. Before I start with the update, I want to specify that A. I don't know everything. If the story is missing details, then I'm sorry, but I can't provide more as I'm very often not in the place where the conversations or revelations take place. I rely only on what I'm told. B. Our attorney told me that for the good of our family and most of all Amanda, I'm not allowed to share the details of the ongoing case. There are many people involved now, many authorities. I need to keep my family safe, and most of all, Amanda. We owe her the best. So I won't be answering the questions about, is Jugendamt involved? Are there any charges, and what are the charges? Interrogations. Court. USAW. Please don't ask me these questions because I won't answer them. Now to the update. Amanda. She's out of the hospital, currently placed in our family house. We will have daily visits of nurses who are going to check up on her and on us and make sure that she's growing well and that we're taking good care of her. Currently she gains around 35 to 40 grams per day, which the doctors say is an amazing result. She is also pink now and not gray and is very interested in everything. I was scared to hold her because I've never held a baby. But my mom showed me how, and Amanda was smiling to me and playing with my braid. My older sister came to live with us for the time being and help us, so everyone can get enough sleep and be a present caregiver. Amanda is eating every 3 hours around the clock from a bottle. She's getting a high-calorie formula, and she seems to be fine. Tomorrow she will have another blood test done, and we're hoping for the best. We asked the doctors a couple of days ago to ask Julia to give us some breast milk for Amanda if she's willing, but Julia didn't agree. The doctors told us that she stated once again that either she's feeding her baby from her breast or she won't be feeding her at all. So formula it is. Julia, as far as I know, she's probably still in the psych ward as she didn't return home. We don't know what's going on as she canceled all the permissions she gave to my brother to know about her health. So nobody can tell us anything right now before she canceled the permissions. One of the doctors told my brother that she has a strong narcissistic personality. But they believe there's more to this. Michael, my brother, knows about his mistakes. He's taking some sort of parenting classes and being in therapy, and is working on himself to prove that he can take care of Amanda. He will be fighting for full custody. I can't tell about other things that are going on. So basically that's it about him. But he found out something interesting that he shared with the doctors of the psych ward, Julia's family. So my brother managed to find them through social media. And when he told them about Amanda and everything that happened, Julia's parents immediately wanted to come to visit, but Julia's father has problems with mobility. So instead they invited Michael to them to talk. Now this story is how Michael told us. If there are missing details, I'm sorry, but this is all I know. For now there were more things, I think, but later he decided to talk to my mum behind the closed doors. So Julia was raised in a religious family in a small town. She has one younger brother, Sven. Her parents said that Sven was always a very sickly child. He was always ill, always with weird diseases that made no sense, like sudden fevers and stomach bugs when nobody else had them. Sometimes he would have bones broken, like fingers or toes, and he couldn't explain why and how did that happen. So the whole family had to take care of him, and because they had no sitters, Julia was always with them in the hospital when they needed to take care of Sven, mostly on weekends. So this isn't really weird because I was always hurting myself with stupid things, so I can relate. But then they said that when he was 18, Sven took all his belongings and moved out of the house and began working in the city. He only sporadically reached his mum to tell her he was fine and he wasn't sick anymore. Julia was very upset when Sven moved out, and her parents said that she was always super close with Sven, and they were always together. She was angry afterwards. She was breaking plates and glasses and even once made a hole in the wall after she threw a chair onto it. So her parents asked her to move out. She moved out, and soon after she met my brother. They were together for less than a year before the wedding because she said she is from a very religious family and she cannot wait. Now the thing is that Julia is like super pretty. And my brother, well, he's my brother. So he was really into her, and he really wanted to be with her, especially that she was educated, and he is working simple jobs, and he was always admiring her for her knowledge. And that's one of the reasons he never questioned what she was doing with Amanda, especially that Julia told Michael multiple times that she is the smart one in this house. Shortly before the wedding, Julia reached out to her parents demanding money for the wedding dress and wedding party, as well as inviting them. She also pushed for her brother to come. But when the parents called Sven to tell him about it, he said he will never be in any proximity to Julia, not after what she's done to him. He broke down and said that all his illnesses were caused by her. She forced him, for example, to eat raw potatoes or old cottage cheese, and once even a random animal poop she found in the fields. She also used to play with him violently, and he always ended with broken fingers, toes and wrist 3 times. So the parents went berserk. I'm skipping here the part about how they were quarreling and trying to find out if everything was true, but apparently it was true. They said they don't want to see their daughter again anymore, and she won't get any money, and if only they knew who her fiancé is, they would reach him and warn him to not even think about marrying Julia. But they didn't know Michael back then, as Julia refused to introduce him to her parents before the wedding. Michael got pretty mad at Julia's parents that they didn't try to warn him, but they later said they honestly started thinking Julia is making up the whole wedding thing, as she used to lie a lot when she was a teenager and young adult, and that she just wanted money from them. So the parents didn't do any effort to find Michael, but instead focused on Sven and helping him, which is totally fair. So that's the story for now. I felt sick when Michael told us about Sven. It was a couple of days ago, and I'm still feeling shocked and bad. It feels so wrong, especially because Julia was always kind to me. She never tried to hurt me. I know her for almost 15 years. Michael told about it to the doctors, but they couldn't say anything because of the lack of permissions. So for now, this is it. I'll update more when I can. Stories number 12. My experience with women in public restrooms makes me dread using them, and I can't be the only one. Okay, deep breath, I don't usually post stuff like this, but after what happened last week, I feel like I need to vent. Maybe it's petty, maybe I'm overly sensitive, but I cannot shake the frustration. So, some background: I'm Emily, 21F, and I'm currently a junior at a mid-sized university in Ohio. I live off campus in an apartment with my roommate Hannah, 22F, who's one of those annoyingly healthy people that eats yogurt parfaits for breakfast and runs 5 miles for fun. Meanwhile, I've been struggling with stomach issues since I was a teenager. Technically, I've been told it's IBS, but honestly, IBS feels like the doctor's way of saying, yeah, we don't really know what's wrong with you, but something definitely is. It sucks. It means that at random, without warning, my stomach will betray me in the loudest, most humiliating way possible. Sometimes it's cramps, sometimes nausea, sometimes, let's just say if there isn't a bathroom nearby, I'm doomed. And public restrooms, for better or worse, are where a huge portion of my episodes happen. Now, here's the thing. Bathrooms should be functional spaces. You go in, you do what you need to do, you wash your hands, you leave simple. At least, that's how I thought it worked. But for some reason, so many women treat public bathrooms like they're a Starbucks lounge. I'm not exaggerating. Since high school, I've seen girls use the bathroom as a full-blown hangout spot, makeup tutorials in the mirror vape clouds. So thick it sets off the smoke detector giggles and group selfies, while other people are literally waiting. I thought, naively, that this would stop in college. Nope. If anything, it got worse. Here's what I mean. Last Tuesday, I had one of the worst stomach flare-ups I've had all semester. I was in Professor Carter's history class, and about 20 minutes in, my stomach started twisting like someone had wrung it out like a towel. I knew I had maybe 5 minutes to find a bathroom, or risk humiliating myself in front of 70 classmates. I bolted out, clutching my backpack, and practically sprinted down. The hall to the nearest women's restroom. Relief washed over me when I saw the door, until I pushed it open and realized my nightmare had just begun. Inside, there were 6 girls standing in front of the mirrors, laughing, brushing their hair, touching up eyeliner, sipping iced coffees like it was a freaking coffee shop. One of them, Kayla, I recognized from one of my electives. She gave me a little wave like, "Hey girl," and then went right back to her lip gloss. My stomach was screaming. I rushed into a stall, praying they'd take the hint and leave. But nope, they stayed. Now, if you've never had IBS or anything similar, let me explain. Your body basically refuses to let go when there's an audience. Every giggle, every word, every click of a lip gloss cap made my body seize up. I sat there sweating, trying to will myself to relax. But it was impossible. I could hear them gossiping about some frat guy who looked like a Ken doll but ghosted Ashley after 2 dates. And all I could think was, please God, just let them leave so I don't explode in here. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15. They did not budge. Meanwhile, I'm in agony. My stomach is making noises so loud I'm sure they can hear, and my anxiety skyrocketed because the last thing I want is to be that girl everyone laughs about later. I've already had my fair share of humiliations in life. Thanks eventually, my body gave me no choice. It was loud. It was awful. And yes, everyone in that restroom heard it. The chatter died down for maybe 10 seconds, and then I heard one of them snicker. Another muttered something like, "Oh my God, I wanted to crawl into the floor and vanish." By the time I emerged from the stall, red-faced and avoiding eye contact, they were still there, still gossiping, still laughing, not even washing their hands, just loitering. I barely managed to wash mine before escaping. When I got back to class, I texted Hannah in all caps, "Why do girls treat bathrooms like lounges?" And honestly, I can't stop thinking about it. Because this wasn't the first time. It happens constantly in the library, in the student union. Even at the mall back home, I'll walk in desperate for relief, only to find 3 girls in front of the mirrors with iced lattes, talking about outfits, acting like it's their personal powder room, and it infuriates me, because unlike them, I don't have the luxury of choosing when and where I need a bathroom. I don't get to stroll in, take my sweet time, and leave when I feel like it. My body makes the rules, and when it says now, it means now. But when the bathroom is occupied by a gaggle of 20-somethings vaping, gossiping, or practicing TikTok dances, yes, I've witnessed this, it feels impossible and humiliating. I know this probably sounds like I'm bitter, or trying to be not like other girls. That's not it. I swear I love women. I support women. I just don't understand this specific behavior. Why the bathroom? Out of all the places on campus, why choose the one literal room meant for bodily functions to set up camp? And the worst part? It messes with my head. I'll stand outside a bathroom, door, stomach churning, terrified of what's waiting inside. Will I get privacy? Or will I get a 6-girl audience critiquing my digestive system? It adds this layer of anxiety to something that's already unbearable. I've actually started mapping out the quiet bathrooms on campus. There's one in the basement of the engineering building that no one uses, and I've sprinted across campus to get to it before Hannah thinks it's hilarious that I basically have a secret bathroom map, like some kind of covert operative, but to me it's survival. Last week was just the breaking point. I sat on my bed afterward and cried. Not because of the pain, though it was awful, but because I felt trapped. Like I'll never be able to just use the bathroom without worrying about who's in there. So yeah, that's my rant. Maybe it's silly, maybe it's overblown, but I genuinely hate how so many women treat public restrooms. Like hangout spots. I wish I understood it. I wish I didn't care. But when your own body is at war with you, the last thing you need is an audience. Comments. Commenter 1. Girl. I've had IBS for 25 years. I've shit everywhere. Every gas station bathroom from Kentucky to Florida. Every wood line along Highway 231, and 2 very desperate and unfortunate times on church property when the bathroom was full. Alls I'm saying is I feel your pain. If the washroom is crowded, I'll flush with each loud poo. I've even asked strangers to hit the hand dryer for both our sakes. Reply. Someone else gave me the tip of flushing constantly, and I'm gonna try and use that. Commenter 2. I was in a bathroom at a huge mall and a group of 13 to 14-year-old girls walked in. One of them asked the others, "Why does it stink so bad in here?" I finished up, washed my hands and walked outside before laughing my ass off because what a stupid question. Reply. Fork found in kitchen. Poop found in bathroom, but this is my exact fear. LOL. Commenter 3. IDK, just teach them a lesson and shit Yuri. Brains out while they're in there vaping. I bet they'll learn real quick. That sucks though. I definitely spent my 20s being stressed about public pooping. But now in my 30s, I just don't care anymore. We all poop. If you're in the bathroom, you are risking hearing my butthole rip apart. Sorry not sorry. Reply. I wish I had your confidence. I have bad social anxiety, and I only got comfortable using public bathrooms to pee when I entered high school. Commenter 4. Do you have a 504 plan? Look into getting one if you can. You can have accommodations to use the private bathroom in the nurse's office. I have the same issues as you, and that was on my accommodation list when I was in high school. Reply. That would be a good idea, but unfortunately, all of the bathrooms are accessible to everyone. There's not like private staff bathrooms or anything I know, which bathrooms on campus are usually empty, but I can't really leave class to go halfway across campus to be sick. YK. Stories number 13. My brother is the golden child and I finally stopped trying. I don't know if this will resonate with anyone, but writing it out feels like the only way to stop it from eating me alive. I've spent most of my life chasing approval from people who will never give it, and I finally realized I need to stop. I'm Daniel, 29M. My younger brother Ethan, 25M, is, and always has been, the golden child. That's not bitterness talking. It's not me being jealous in some childish way. It's just the truth. If you grew up in a family like mine, you already know what I mean. Growing up in the shadow, our parents, Mark Dad, 58, and Linda Mom, 56, raised us in a suburban town in Illinois, middle class, church on Sundays, PTA meetings, the whole thing. On the surface, we looked like a perfectly normal family. But from as far back as I can remember, there was a clear divide in how my brother and I were treated. When I brought home straight A's in 6th grade, my mom smiled, said, "Good job," and then immediately asked if I'd thought about joining more extracurricular to round out my future college applications. When Ethan came home with a Betty on his math test, they threw him a celebratory pizza night because math is hard, and at least he tried. At age 15, I landed my first part-time job bagging groceries. I remember proudly telling my dad I was saving up for a used laptop. He just nodded and said, "Don't let it distract you from bigger goals." 2 years later, when Ethan got a job scooping ice cream, my parents raved to everyone at church about how hardworking and independent he was. It's hard to explain what that does to you as a kid. I wasn't unloved. They provided for me, came to some of my games, asked about school, but it always felt transactional, like I had to earn scraps of approval while Ethan could trip and fall into their unconditional admiration. College years. I went to the University of Illinois and studied business. I graduated with honors. I remember that day so clearly, my parents sitting in the audience, me feeling like, finally, they'll be proud of me. After the ceremony, I walked up with my diploma, grinning. My dad hugged me and said, "So, why didn't you apply to law school? You're smart enough, don't sell yourself short." Meanwhile, Ethan dropped out of community college after one semester. Did my parents give him a hard time? Nope. My mom said he was just finding his path. My dad called him street smart and entrepreneurial. Translation: Ethan moved back home, got a part-time bartending job, and spent most nights partying. The financial double standard is. Adults, the double standard only got sharper when I bought myself a used Honda Civic after years of saving. My dad lectured me about how I should have gone with something cheaper because cars are depreciating assets. When Ethan totaled his car after drinking at a party, my parents helped him finance a brand new truck so he could get back on his feet. When I asked my parents for advice about a 401k, my mom said, "You're grown, you should figure it out yourself." When Ethan overdrew his checking account 3 months in a row, my parents wired him money and told him, "Don't stress, it happens to everyone." It was like living in some bizarre alternate reality where I was the responsible adult who had to be scolded for not doing enough, and my brother was the reckless child who could do no wrong. The birthday that broke me yesterday was my dad's 58th birthday. I spent weeks thinking about what to get him. My dad's a big fisherman. It's his one true hobby. So I saved up and bought him a customized fishing rod, engraved with his initials. It wasn't cheap, but I thought, maybe this time, he'll see the effort. I showed up on time, gift in hand, ready to celebrate. Ethan showed up an hour late, reeking of alcohol, clearly. Buzzed, no gift, no card. Just him swaggering in with a, "What's up, old man?" like it was some big joke. And here's what gutted me. My dad spent the entire night praising Ethan. "Son, I'm so proud of you. You've been working so hard. You've got such a good head on your shoulders. You're gonna do big things. I can feel it." Meanwhile, my gift got a quick glance and a half-hearted, "Oh, thanks, Dan. That's nice." Then he went right back to bragging about Ethan managing to show up to work. Even when he's tired, I sat there invisible. My mom chimed in with, "Ethan's really matured this year." I looked at the half-empty beer can in his hand and wanted to laugh. Matured? Are we looking at the same person? But the worst part wasn't even the words. It was the look on their faces, that glow of pride when they looked at him. I've been chasing that look my entire life. And I realized, sitting there at that table, that I'll never get it. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much I achieve, I will never be enough for them. The moment I let go, I drove home afterward and just sat in my car for a while. The fishing rod receipt still in my pocket. The sound of my dad's voice replaying in my head. "So proud of you, Ethan." And something in me finally broke. I realized I've spent 29 years setting myself on fire to keep warm people who don't even notice I'm burning. Every extra hour at work, every careful decision, every attempt to be the good son. It was all in service of a dream that was never going to happen. They're never going to see me the way they see him. And that's not something I can fix. So I'm done. I'm done chasing their approval. I'm done twisting myself into knots, trying to earn a kind word that will never come. I'll keep living my life, but not for them. Not for their applause. Just for me. It hurts, God. It hurts so much. But there's also a strange peace in finally admitting it. Closing thought. If you're reading this, and you have a golden child sibling, I'm sorry I wouldn't wish it on anyone. The constant comparison, the quiet invisibility, the feeling that no matter what you do, you'll always come second, it messes with you. But maybe, just maybe, we can stop running ourselves ragged chasing people who will never clap for us. That's where I'm at now. It's not much, but it's a start update. My brother is the golden child and I finally stopped trying. Hey everyone, thanks for the comments and kind words on my original post. I didn't expect so many people to understand exactly what I was talking about. Reading your stories about golden child versus scapegoat dynamics really hit me in the gut, but it also gave me a weird sense of comfort. For once, I wasn't the crazy one. A lot has happened since my dad's birthday, and I wanted to give an update. Thanksgiving showdown. Fast forward a few weeks after that birthday disaster. Thanksgiving. At my parents' house I almost didn't go, but guilt got the better of me. Plus, my girlfriend Rachel 27F thought it would be good to show face and not totally withdraw. Big mistake. Dinner was supposed to start at 3. My parents asked me to bring a side dish, So Rachel and I cooked all morning, made roasted Brussels sprouts with bacon, and some pumpkin pies. We arrived on time, like civilized human beings. Guess who rolled in at 4:30? Hangover? No contribution to the meal? Yep, Ethan. He walked in like he was the guest of honor, carrying a six-pack of craft beer, as if that counted as a dish. My dad lit up like a Christmas tree. There he is, my guy. He slapped Ethan on the back, introduced him to Rachel, and within 10 minutes, my mom was raving about how Ethan's been working so hard at his new job. Side note, Ethan had been at this new job for a whopping 3 weeks. It was bartending at a sports bar, and from what I'd heard, he'd already missed shifts. But sure, let's all bow down to St. Ethan, patron of bare minimums. The food incident at dinner, Rachel sat next to me, across from Ethan. She's polite, well-spoken, works in healthcare. She made casual conversation, asking Ethan about work. He went on a whole rant about how he was basically running the bar, because his boss trusted him so much. Then, halfway through the meal, Ethan made a joke about how I always overdo it, and how Danny Boy here probably studied pie recipes for a month before bringing one. Everyone laughed, except Rachel. She just stared at him and said, "Well, at least he showed up, on time, and brought something people actually wanted." The table went dead silent. My mom quickly changed the subject. My dad frowned, and Ethan looked like a kid who'd just been told Santa wasn't real. But I swear, for the first time in my life, someone had my back in that house, and it felt incredible. The money bomb. The real kicker came after dinner. I was helping clear plates when I overheard my dad talking to Ethan in the living room. He was telling him he'd cover him for a few months until he got steady at work. I asked Rachel later if I'd heard right, and she nodded. My dad was giving Ethan money again. Meanwhile, a month earlier, when I asked my parents for advice about possibly buying a starter home, my dad told me I should stop thinking I'm entitled to everything right away, and that good things come to those who wait. I don't think my dad realized I overheard. But that moment crystallized everything for me. I will never be the one they rescue. I'm the one they expect to rescue myself, while Ethan gets carried through life like a prince. The fallout after Thanksgiving. Rachel and I had a long talk. Admitted she finally saw what I'd been trying to explain. She'd always thought I was exaggerating about the golden child dynamic, but seeing it in real time, the blatant praise, the enabling, the way they brushed off Ethan's behavior, it blew her mind. She told me, "You don't have to keep proving yourself to them. You've already proven yourself to me, to your friends, to anyone with eyes. They just choose not to see it." And honestly, hearing her say that made me cry, like ugly cry. Because for the first time, someone outside of my head validated my experience. The turning point, a couple weeks later, Ethan texted me asking if I could co-sign a loan for him. I almost laughed out loud. I said no immediately. He got pissy, accused me of being stingy and jealous. But here's the kicker. 2 days later, my mom called me and tried to guilt-trip me into helping him. She said, "Ethan just needs a chance. You're always so stable. Can't you help your brother out this once?" I finally snapped. I told her, "I've been helping myself out my entire life because you never did. Ethan's been handed everything and still screws it up. If you want to co-sign, you do it. But don't ever call me again, asking to clean up his messes." She got quiet, said she was disappointed in my attitude, and hung up. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty, where I'm at now. Since then, I've been pulling back. I don't call as much, don't visit unless Rachel insists. I stopped bending over backwards for their approval. And honestly, it feels lighter. Ethan is still Ethan. From what I hear, he's already struggling at the bar job. My parents are still my parents. Still praising him, still minimizing me. But I'm learning to detach. The biggest change is internal. I don't feel like I need their applause anymore. It still hurts, of course. That wound goes deep, but I'm slowly realizing that their blindness isn't my burden to carry. Final thought for this update. If anyone reading this is the invisible child, I want to tell you what I wish someone had told me years ago. Stop waiting for them to see you. They won't, not the way you want. And that's not your failure. That's theirs. I'm not magically healed, but I'm done setting myself on fire. For people who don't even notice the smoke. Thanks for letting me vent. Final update. My brother is the golden child, and I finally stopped trying Reddit. It's been about a year and a half since my last update, and I figured it was time to close the loop on this whole saga. A lot has happened, some of it expected, some of it blindsiding, but I think I'm finally in a place where I can say this is my final update. The slow drift. After my last post, I kept to my word. I pulled back. Not completely no contact, but low contact. No more weekly phone calls, no more guilt-tripped visits. I went months without seeing my parents, and you know what? The world didn't end at first. My mom kept calling me with little jabs. We never see you anymore. Ethan misses you. You should be closer as brothers. Family is all we have, Daniel, but the more distance I created, the more obvious. It became that her "we" really meant Ethan. What she was really saying was, Ethan needs bailing out, and you're supposed to be there to do it. I stopped answering half the time. And slowly she stopped calling as often. Ethan's spiral. So, about Ethan's surprise. Surprise? He didn't last at the bar job. Within 3 months he'd been fired for missing too many shifts and borrowing from the till. My parents spun it as a misunderstanding and bad management. Then he bounced between a few other short-term gigs. Delivery driver, gym desk clerk. He either quit or got fired each time. And each time, my parents swooped in to help him get back on his feet. The real bomb dropped last fall when I got a call from my dad. Ethan had racked up credit card debt, 5 figures, and was talking about declaring bankruptcy. My dad wanted me to talk sense into him. I asked why they didn't just let him face the consequences. My dad said, "Because he's not as strong as you, Daniel. You've always been able to figure things out." And there it was again. The backhanded compliment that was really a cover for favoritism. I'm the dependable one, so they don't bother supporting me. Ethan's the screw-up, so he gets the safety net. I told my dad flat out, "This isn't my problem, don't involve me." And I hung up. The breaking point, Christmas of that year, was the real turning point. Rachel and I decided to go. Mostly because she thought maybe things would be calmer. Spoiler, they weren't. Ethan showed up late again, smelling like weed, empty-handed. My parents acted like it was fine. Meanwhile, Rachel and I brought gifts for everyone, food, and a bottle of wine. At dinner, my mom actually said, "I just wish you'd be more like your brother, Daniel. He's so free-spirited, you're always, so uptight." Rachel looked at her like she'd grown 2 heads. She said, "With all due respect, Ethan is 30 and can't hold down a job. Daniel owns his home, has a career, and has supported himself without asking you for a dime. If that's uptight, thank God he's uptight." The room went silent. My mom turned red, my dad cleared his throat, and Ethan sulked. But me? I felt 10 feet tall for once. Someone said out loud what I'd been screaming internally for decades. That night, on the drive home, I told Rachel I was done. I wasn't going to keep subjecting myself to that circus, going no contact by spring. I stopped taking calls altogether. I sent one final message to my parents. "I love you, but I can't keep playing this game. I won't be the scapegoat while Ethan is the golden child. I need peace. Please don't contact me unless you're ready to treat me with the same respect you give him." They didn't respond. And you know what? The silence was freeing. Painful, yes, but freeing. What happened since Ethan? Last I heard, he's back living with my parents. He's in and out of sketchy business ventures. My parents still bankroll him. From what family friends tell me, they complain about being stressed but also brag about how Ethan's trying so hard. Same script, different year. Me, Rachel and I got engaged. I bought a house. I've built a life I'm proud of. Without their approval, without their praise, without their constant comparisons. Sometimes I mourn the idea of the parents I wish I had, but I've accepted that those parents don't exist. The real ones are too busy enabling Ethan to ever see me clearly. The peace I found. Here's the thing. I used to think cutting back contact would feel like losing a limb. But really, it felt like removing a splinter that had been festering for years. Painful in the moment, but ultimately a relief. I don't wake up wondering how to win their love. Anymore, I don't shape my choices around earning their approval. I live for me. And the irony? Once I stopped chasing, I finally felt free. Final reflection. For anyone stuck in the golden child dynamic, it doesn't get better if you keep feeding it. You can't outperform favoritism. You can't outwork denial. All you can do is step off the treadmill. It's not easy, it's lonely at first, but it's also the first step to building a life where your worth isn't measured by people too blind to see it. I used to think my story was about Ethan always winning. But the truth is, I've already won because I got out. This is my final update. Thanks for listening. Stories number 14. Aita for going NC with my son and deal after their son molested my granddaughters. Help. I feel terrible. My daughter-in-law and I have always had a weird relationship. No, I am not one of those crazy boy moms who seem to be in love with their sons. Far from it. I could care less about what's happening between their marriage and hate when they drag me into it. My daughter-in-law's son, my grandkids, was caught molesting 3 of his younger cousins. All 3 of my kids found out about it and told me. My grandson is 11. And my granddaughters in question are 3- and 4-year-old twins. My daughter-in-law put my grandson in therapy after I demanded it, and he disclosed that he was exposed to porn at a young age from school. Now this is my dilemma. I was molested myself, and it absolutely broke my heart when my grandparents still invited my abuser to family events. The fact that they stayed in contact with him hurt me the most. I am mature enough to separate my experience with what happened to my granddaughters. But 11 turning 12 is old enough to know right from wrong. Adult kids whose kids were not molested has cut all contact with my son and his family. And the ones whose kids were molested are pressing charges. In our state, you can do that. He would unfortunately get a dot in his register, meaning he would have trouble finding jobs and housing when he becomes an adult. And from the age of 15, it sucks, but I'm not going to force them to not proceed. My daughter-in-law and my son are absolutely furious about that. They said that his life should not be ruined for a mistake he made as a kid. I have unfortunately decided to not be in contact with them anymore. It hurts me and it hurts my other adult kids. Even having separate family gatherings are out of the question, because my daughter-in-law and son refuses to show up unless everyone else is there. Well, I calmly and gently told them that moving forward, I didn't think it was wise to keep in contact. I wished them and my grandson a good life, but made it clear that their disgusting minimization of him molesting his cousins was not okay. My son then responded by saying that he would sue me for all of my money, including his father's. Mind you, I don't even have a will. Just to make it clear, I don't plan on ever speaking to them again. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. If they're trying to protect their son, it's up to you to protect your granddaughters. Commenter 2. CPS should be notified. At 11, that kid was probably molested himself. Reply. That's what I suspect myself. He said he learnt it from school, but... Commenter 3. He will sue you for what? You have a right to cut off contact with an adult child. His father was your spouse, so his money would go to his living spouse. I would see a lawyer at any rate and make a will do that. He doesn't cause trouble for your other kids and grandkids. But you do not need to worry about a lawsuit. I don't think NTA. Commenter 4. Well, their reactions say it all. They hold no remorse or want to watch their son face the consequences of his own actions. If this guy were to do it again, his parents would again turn a blind eye and be like, he was provoked. She didn't say. No. Men will be men. Protect your family in any way you can. And if you ever make a will, then mention clearly why they are not getting anything. Stories. Number 15. A customer found my home, rang my doorbell for half an hour and left when the cops arrived. I 27F work in the cannabis industry. And this man has been a customer of mine for 4+ years. Our interactions have been very tame. He walks in, buys his pre-roll, and walks out. He is about 3 years younger than me, doesn't have a job, lives with his mom and doesn't have a car, so he walks everywhere. Last Thursday, 7/31, he came around to buy his usual. About 5 minutes later, he comes back and says, "Do you mind if I sit down? It's just really hot out." There? I didn't mind because the heat index was around 104 degrees, and I was being polite. I gave him a drink and told him to rest until he was ready to leave. He was wearing a jacket in the middle of a heat wave. He ended up staying for an hour, just chatting about random things like the economy, Ozzy Osbourne's death, things going on in his life. It wasn't until he started talking about trying to find a girl to go to the fair with, take on hikes, etc., did I find his being there suspicious. He seems like a really socially awkward guy. And in the 4 years he's been coming to the shop, I never felt threatened by him. I made it pretty clear that I'm working on myself, that I'm going back to school, working out at the gym and focusing on myself. I told him if he was looking for a girl he should try Hinge or Tinder because I've had luck finding last-minute dates there. I basically kicked him out and said, "Well, it's been nice talking to you, but I have to use the restroom." Before he left, he turned to me and asked if I was working on Saturday 8/2. I told him no, and then he asked me to the fair. I said no, I'm sorry, I already have plans. Fast forward to around 9:30 p.m. this evening. 8/3 I was doing laundry, sitting on the couch when my doorbell rings. We live in condos and normally people come to the back door where the parking lot is. The doorbell ringing is extremely abnormal. I didn't really think much of it. I thought maybe someone had ordered food, and it got delivered to the wrong house. I put a load of laundry in and got into the shower. While I was in the shower, I heard someone pounding on the front door. I basically ignored it because I'm not getting out of my shower to answer it. But when I finally got out of the shower, my doorbell was ringing incessantly. Ding, 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 pound, 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 ding, ding, ding. I call my mom because I'm freaking out, and I'm thinking there might be an emergency in the neighborhood, but my neighbors know me, have my number, and would have come to the back door. She's on the phone with me and she hears this racket too. My dog is raising hell, and there is someone very eager for me to open the door. I peeked through the blinds of my spare bedroom and, lo and behold, there is my customer. The customer who asked me out, and I rejected. He's been there about 20 minutes now, trying to get me to open the door. I live really close to work. Within walking distance, he must have followed me home after work, or seen me walking my dog in the neighborhood. Who knows how long he's been tracking my movements, but he's at my house on a Sunday night, banging on my door and ringing the doorbell non-stop. I text my neighbor, who is basically like a mom to me, and she's at my house in seconds. We're at the back door, still hearing the doorbell and the pounding on the door. I'm shaking from head to toe. I'm disoriented because I don't know what the hell is going on. And she calls the cops for me. The cops are there within 5 minutes. From the time the last knock ring sounded to the time the cops arrived was maybe 3 minutes. He must have booked it as soon as he saw the patrol officer. I give my statement to the police. Tell them about Thursday. Tell them that my customer has been banging on my door for over half an hour. They call more squad cars to patrol the other neighborhoods. But after 4+ years of having this customer, I don't know his name. I have literally no idea who this guy is and what he wants from me. How long has he known where I live? How long has he been stalking me? What was his motive for ringing my doorbell for half an hour so late at night? Did he want to hurt me? Did he want to kill me? I don't know. All I did was tell him I was busy and I couldn't go to the fair with him. Sorry, I ended up calling my friend and she's letting me crash at her place tonight. But I'm so uncomfortable about going home. I live alone with my dog, and I don't want to move. But if I cannot figure out this guy's name, there is nothing I can do legally. It's 3 a.m. now and I'm combing through all our security footage, transaction history, literally anything that can give me a hint at who he is. He told me he got fired from JCPenney. But I'm not sure they will divulge his information to me. I'm trying to gather enough evidence that the cops can track him down without his name. I'm so terrified I cannot sleep, cannot eat, cannot fathom going back to the house I call a home, knowing this man infiltrated my life with such demand. How will I ever go back to work? What am I to do? I had plans, I had ambitions to leave this job, but now I'm faced with the choice of leaving now or potentially putting myself in danger. I'm so sick of people. I'm terrified of everyone now because no matter how long you've known someone, how many times you may have interacted with them, they are not to be trusted. They are a threat to you, your life, and your personal space. I cannot stop crying, and I'm nervous about everything now. I don't know what to do anymore. I just want to live a normal life where I'm not threatened for declining a date. I just wanted to share my story. I'm going to do my best to file a restraining order, but I'm not sure that is enough. I fear I'll have to move, leave my good-paying job, and watch my every move from here on out. I don't feel safe anymore. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Please tell your boss. He needs to be banned from the store because he has clearly crossed boundaries and he does not deserve to have any access to you at all. Reply, already on it. My boss is extremely kind and understanding. He is helping me look through the backlog security footage to try and find this guy's name. He is familiar with this customer, as he's been a long-time patron to our store. Commenter 2. In what state did this happen? I only ask because every single dispensary I've ever been to in California, I've always had to show my ID that gets scanned by a front-end person on a computer before I can go to where the sales floor is. The computer database has all of my information, and every dispensary I've ever been in has tons of security cameras everywhere. Seems like you should be able to cross-reference the last time he came in with the time code on the video footage to find out his name in the system. Reply, Tennessee. It's a non-legal state, so things are unregulated. I scan an item marked 21 plus and then I scan their ID, verifying their age. Unless they are a loyalty member. I don't have their name number, but I'm pretty sure this individual is in our system. He pays with cash 95% of the time and never enters his loyalty number. When he pays, I can only figure out the information I need if I can find security footage of him paying with card. It's been a bitch. Still searching update. I'd first like to say, I wasn't expecting as much engagement as I had on my last post. Thank you to everyone who validated my feelings and gave me helpful advice. If you haven't read that post, I suggest you do because it gives you all the information about what happened to me the night my customer came to my house. I'd like to clarify a few things from my last post that a lot of people had questions about. Although I work in the cannabis industry, I operate in a non-legal state, meaning I only have to scan IDs and not save the person's information each time they make a purchase. THC and Delta-9 are regulated just like alcohol in my state. So I was unable to get the person's information solely from his ID. It's been a month, so I'd like to update everyone on how I'm doing, what has happened since, and what I'm doing legally to protect myself. I won't go into much detail, but I was able to find the person's information through our security camera and Square Business portal. I found a time where he used a credit card, and since he was a loyalty member with us, his name was attached to the account I paid for a background check, and was able to find a full name and address which I gave to the police, as well as all the security camera footage I had on the day he asked me out, and I refused all the evidence, was sent to the police and compiled into an evidence folder. The police officers visited his home, asked him questions about the night that he came to my house and knocked on my door for half an hour. On body camera he admitted to coming to my house, and his excuse was that she sold me gummies that made me high for 5 days. Like that's not an excuse for coming to my home at 9:30 at night, I assure you. If there was a THC gummy in a non-legal state that made you high for 5 days, no one would not be able to keep them on the shelf. This was enough for the cops to allow me to press charges of harassment against him. In order for him to make bail, he had to sign a bond condition, stating that he would not come to my house or my place of business. If he broke that bond condition, he would be rearrested and charged with aggravated stalking, which is exactly what happened today after almost a month of not seeing this person. I saw him walking in front of my store. I didn't think much of it. Although it did frighten me, I continued to help customers and did my job. He was not approaching the building, and there was no reason to lose my cool over just seeing him. That is until he walked by again. I ended up locking the door and watching his movement from the window. He turned a corner, and I figured, okay, he's leaving. It's nothing to worry about. I unlocked the door to resume business. I was sitting down at the computer when all of a sudden, he enters the shop and sits down in one of our waiting chairs. I wasn't paying attention to the outside, so he came out of nowhere and shocked me. I say to him calmly at first, "You need to leave, or I am calling the cops." And he replies, "Why?" I just kept repeating myself, and he keeps saying, "Why? Why? Why?" I finally reach for the phone, and I'm now screaming at him to leave. "Get the fuck out of here. I'm calling the cops." What irked me the most is not that he had the audacity to violate his bond condition and come to my store, but that he kept saying my first name like, "Please, don't call the cops. Why? I didn't even know his name until I pressed charges against him, and he acted like we were friends. Like he had every right to be at my place of business, and that I wouldn't call the cops on him again because we had some sort of relationship. It all happened so quickly, and when he finally left, I locked the door again and proceeded to have a full-blown panic attack. I don't know if anyone else has experienced a panic attack, but it felt like someone had dunked my head underwater, and I couldn't breathe. My entire body was shaking from head to toe and I was sobbing. Called the owner and he came shortly after. We phoned the police and they did exactly what they said they would do. I had to pull the security camera footage from the event and hand it over to the cops. They gathered another warrant out for his arrest and charged him with aggravated stalking, trespassing, and violation of a bond. He will have a GPS monitor attached to him if he makes bail again, and I will be notified if he comes anywhere near my place of work or home. They will also call me to notify me if he is bailed out. I will be filing an order of protection in the morning. I did not previously file one because I was under the assumption that he would not come back after the bond condition. Lesson learned. I've installed security cameras at the front and back of my house, have notified all my neighbors and the surrounding businesses by my work to be on the lookout for him. I truly was getting better. I was focusing on my mental health, playing a whole bunch of Animal Crossing, working out daily, focusing on treating myself with kindness, but after today it's like I've been transported to day one all over again. I start a technical course on Monday which will hopefully get me out of retail. But for now I have to continue to work at my job and provide myself an income. I'd just like to say to all the men and women out there dealing with a customer who is a bit too friendly or has made advances towards you to never take these things lightly. Please learn from my experience that no matter how long you've had a customer, how many times you've interacted with them, that they may have ulterior motives. I never thought he would come back, but he did. I genuinely thought the next time I would see him is at his court hearing when I testified, but he threw away his life today by trusting me not to call the cops. I will not apologize for protecting myself. He had it coming to him. I'm more angry than anything, but I'm eternally grateful that the local police have made an effort to keep this individual away from me. Please take care of yourself and trust your gut when it comes to people that are suspicious. No, one should have to go through what I'm going through, and it's all because I refused to go on a date with a customer. Final comments. Commenter 1. I've been through something similar. It has been a year, but when I see a car that looks like his, I have a mini heart attack. These people who do this shit to us are so unbelievably delusional. It is terrifying that they have such a romanticized interpretation of a situation that will literally haunt us for a long-ass time. Reply, I'm seeking therapy ATM, because every time I hear a knock or doorbell, even in a TV show, I immediately start getting anxiety. I've woken up from dreams where I'm haunted by the sound of a doorbell. PTSD is real, and it's wild to me that anyone, especially customers, inflict this kind of torture on an individual. Hope you are staying safe and have been able to live life to the fullest, regardless of your trauma. Commenter 2. So sorry to hear what is going on. It's a scary world out there. Sending air hugs. Panic attacks. Suck up. Date us in a month or so if no other news. Just want to make sure you are still around and okay. Reply, I will be sure to update everyone after his trial, and he has been sentenced. Thank you for the support. Us retail folks really need to look out for one another. It's like the Wild West out here. Stories number 16. My boyfriend stopped talking to me because I got my nails done, and I realized I'm completely done. I'm 20F, and I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend, Evan, 22M, for about a year. We met through volunteer work at a local community center, and I'll be honest, I was into him from day one. It wasn't just looks, he seemed kind, dedicated, and he had this way of making everyone laugh, even when we were doing the most boring tasks like sorting donation boxes. It took 3 years of us being friends before we actually got together, and when it finally happened, I was so excited I thought it was going to be everything I ever wanted in a relationship. At first, it kind of was. The first few months were fun. We went on late-night drives, grabbed milkshakes after volunteer shifts, watched cheesy horror movies at my apartment, all the cute couple stuff, but slowly, he started changing. Or maybe the better word is revealing. The modesty rules. The first red flag that I ignored at the time was his obsession with how I dressed. For context, I don't think I dress wild. I usually wear half-sleeve shirts, jeans, or skirts that go below the knee. I wouldn't call myself religious, and I don't live in a super conservative environment. But I like dressing comfortably and modestly because that's just my personal style. Evan started making little comments. At first, it was subtle. "Don't you think that shirt is a little too tight? You don't need to show that much skin, babe. Other guys are going to look at you when you wear stuff like that." It escalated to him flat out telling me he didn't want me wearing short sleeves or skirts at all. He wanted me in long sleeves and long pants. Always. At one point he literally said, "If you dressed more modestly, people would respect you more, and I'd feel more comfortable." That crushed me because I already felt like I was modest. I wasn't showing cleavage. I wasn't walking around in short shorts. It made me feel like no matter what I wore, it would never be enough for him. I tried to explain that what I wear is my choice, and I didn't feel comfortable with him policing me. He brushed it off as just caring about me. The nail incident. The breaking point came recently. I had just gotten my nails done for the first time in months. Nothing wild. Just a soft pastel color with a little shimmer. I was so excited because I'd saved up for it, and it made me feel put together. I snapped a picture and sent it to him, expecting a cute, "Those look nice" text back. Instead, he immediately called me and said, "Go get those removed." "Right now you know that's not okay." I was stunned. Asked him what he meant, and he went on this whole rant about how me getting my nails done was vain and unnecessary, and how it made me a bad person. I sat there with my phone in my hand, listening to him basically shame me for spending my own money on something that made me feel good. I pushed back. I told him, "They're just nails. It's not hurting anyone. I like them." He snapped, "You never listen. You're selfish. You care more about looking good for strangers than about respecting me." That one cut deep. The birth control fight. Things didn't calm down after that. The last real conversation we had was about my birth control. For context, I've been on it to regulate my periods, which have always been irregular and painful. It's not about preventing pregnancy right now. It's literally about me being able to function like a normal human being. He told me that if I really loved him and wanted our relationship to get better, I'd stop taking it. His reasoning? That the hormones were messing with my head and making me disrespect him. I told him flat out that I wasn't stopping my medication because he didn't like it. That my health came first. He looked me dead in the eyes, gave me the middle finger, and walked out. That was the last time we spoke. Where I'm at now, I've been replaying all of this in my head. The comments about my clothes. The way he made me feel guilty for doing something as harmless as painting my nails. The fact that he thought he had a right to dictate what medication I take. This is my first real relationship, and I'll admit, I've been naive. I thought maybe this was just what relationships were. Compromise, sacrifice, patience. But what I've been doing isn't compromise. It's erasing myself piece by piece. To make him happy, and no matter what I give up, it'll never be enough. I'm drained. I feel small when I'm around him. Like I'm constantly under a microscope. I never know what normal thing will set him off next. So here I am, writing this because I need to find the words to tell him I'm done. Really done. I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight. I just want my peace back. Stories. Number 17. My husband 26M gives me 22F pocket money monthly, but won't accept money from me. How do I convince him? Hey, so we had an arranged marriage this year. A little background about my husband: he had a very tough childhood. He lost his mother when he was 11, and his father when he was 21. He has only one elder sister, who is married and 14 years older than him. We're both from the Garhwal side of Uttarach, and he comes from a humble background, while I was a bit more privileged since both my father and grandfather served in the Garhwal Rifles I grew up in. Kodwara, a Tier 3 city. While he was from the hills and studied away from family in Navodaya in college, he worked for Zomato to cover his expenses. And in 2023, he cracked a PSU exam in his very first attempt and secured a good government job. I graduated in 2024 and earned a little by giving tuition classes just enough for daily needs, but not like a full-time job. My father knew about him through a distant relative and sent my rishta to his sister. Honestly, I was insecure because my father had sent him pictures of me that were a bit filtered, and in reality, I am a bit short human being, and it has been my biggest insecurity since childhood. On the other hand, his natural photographs showed him tall and more good-looking. I was prepared for rejection, but when we met, He didn't see any flaws in me. Instead, he made me feel so comfortable. Our vibes matched instantly. Since it was a very conservative arranged marriage setup, we had to say yes or no after the first meeting itself. He called my parents and said yes, and I also said yes. We got engaged after 2 months, and 7 months later we were married. After the wedding, he made sure I was comfortable in every way. For the first 3 months, we lived within our own boundaries, taking time to know each other before getting intimate. Neither of us had ever been in a relationship before, so everything was a bit filmy for us. And when the time felt right, I was actually the one who made the first move, and he respected my pace completely, and that meant the world to me financially. My mother gifted me Rs 2 lakhs, a blessing, not dowry. We Garhwalis or Paharis actually don't have the concept of dowry. And this Raksha Bandhan, my brothers gave me Rs 51k each, so a little over Rs 1 lakh in total. My husband gives me Rs 15k every month as a pocket money, apart from shopping for me and surprising me with gifts. When I told him that I wished I could give tuitions again in my free time, he even helped me and arranged 3 kids from the neighborhood families he was friends with, just so I could do what I love. I try my best for him too, from cooking to managing the home. But sometimes I feel what he does for me is much more recently. He wanted to buy a pre-owned car worth around Rs 7 lakhs, our first car. He was even considering taking a personal loan for it, because he also wants to save for a future plot, and doesn't want to break his SIP. I offered him my money happily, but he refused, saying, "That's your money. Your family gave it to you with love. It wouldn't be right to use it for this." I explained the car would be for both of us, but he just said he'd happily accept my help only if he was ever in real financial trouble. No, he is not egoistic neither. He has any alpha gamma sigma type of traits. About my career, I wanted to do MCOM after BCom, though I had no clear direction. He sat with me, counseled me, and suggested MBA instead, saying it would open better opportunities. He promised to support me financially, even for the entire fees next year. But I decided to use my whole savings so the whole burden doesn't fall on him. Sometimes I feel sad seeing how much he does for me. He even got jewelry worth Rs 7 lakhs made for me, and he bore the entire wedding expenses alone, since his parents are no longer alive. He carries so much on his shoulders, yet makes sure I never feel the weight of it. I just hope one day I'll be able to stand beside him, not only emotionally, but also financially, and give him the same love and support he has always given me. Comments. Commenter. 1. Damn, and both of you are so lucky that you found each other, touch wood. Commenter 2. I feel so happy for you guys. Her story is a breath of fresh in all sad stories. I think he won't accept money directly anyway, but you can gift him some stuff like even gold chain or rings, which will be assets as well. And once again, I am feeling proud of you. Like I know you personally and have a great life. Commenter 3. Feels so wild to see someone only 2 years older than me get married. Well, one of my male friends got married when he was like 18, so maybe it doesn't matter anyway. Happy for you, OP. It feels great to see a wholesome post every once in a while, after all the gender war posts. Commenter 4. If he is unwilling to take your money, buy him some gifts instead. Like some expensive perfumes or watches. Gift sorta stories. Number 18, Aita for siding with my dad in my parents' divorce even though he cheated. Hi, I listen to a lot of people read Reddit stories, but I never use the platform myself. But I'm in a situation where I feel I have no one else to turn to. So I made this account and I'm asking strangers on the internet. Sorry for grammar mistakes. I edited this down a lot as a lot of it was venting, and most of it was about my rants about growing up and extended family BS. Sorry if it isn't coherent. It's also still long. I 15M am the oldest of 3. My brother is the middle 11M, and my sister is the youngest 8F. My family had always been kind of messy, and I knew that from that beginning. But growing up I always felt outcasted from my mother and her side of the family, which is mostly just her sister, since my mom's not close with her parents. I know this mostly as my brother and sister got older. It was like night and day. For example, at school, if I made some crappy painting, my mom wouldn't even look at it. But I know now with my brother, but more so my sister. Anything she makes is like it was touched by the hand of God itself, and it's get displayed everywhere. My aunt. Mom's sister would never ask how my day was or anything, hardly talk to me. If I wanted to tell her something, she didn't care. But with my brother and sister, she's the warmest person. So nice, so kind, so much fun. But never that with me. My mom would sometimes not set a plate for me at the table, and I had to get my own. In a family Christmas card one year, she used a picture without me in it. I used to hear my mom and dad fight about this a lot. Especially when I was younger, my dad would always just ask her to try. And I think it's finally clicked for me now, and I am the reason for this divorce, partly apart from the cheating. My dad and his family were the opposite of this. They loved me. I have a great relationship with my father. Has the best father ever. Sorry, this is all over the place. This part was really long, I tried to cut it down. About a few days before my parents told us about the divorce, I got in a huge fight with my mom and kinda my dad, but he would just kind of there over unrelated things. But during that I kinda asked her why she didn't love me, and I think in a moment of anger she admitted she didn't want me and I was failed abortion. I don't quite know what went wrong, but in my state abortions aren't legal, so I guess it was her, being young and not having a lot of proper access or something. At that moment my dad just basically exploded on her and sent me to bed. I think I shut down after this. I just remember being pathetic and crying in my bed that night. I knew I was a teen pregnancy, but I thought my mom and dad pushed through that. And even though I was a teen pregnancy, I thought they still loved me and worked hard to pass high school and take care of me. When my parents sat us down and informed me and my siblings they were getting divorced, I felt numb to it. My siblings were so distraught, but I felt numb. I still feel numb. My aunt was there and was telling me and my siblings to get ready to leave, and that we were going to go stay with my mom for a while. In that moment I got really upset because I did not want to go live with a woman who wanted to have me aborted, and then proceeded to treat me like shit throughout my life, and clearly did not love me. I didn't mention that initially. So I told my aunt, mom and dad that I didn't want to leave the house I grew up in. Go stay at my aunt's house with my mom. My mother just looked sad, but I walked out of the kitchen and to my bedroom to go be alone. My aunt followed me and wanted to talk to me. She seemed very upset with me. She said that my siblings look up to me. That's very true. I'm basically a third parent and I need to be there for my mother in this hard time. I told her something like, I don't want to be there for that bitch, and my aunt got really mad and told me I didn't understand, and that my dad cheated and I should support my mom. That's how I learned he cheated. In that moment, I honestly didn't care. He cheated. Looking back, I think it was shit. My dad cheated on my mom and I got really mad and brought up the abortion and asked her why I would support someone who doesn't love me and didn't want me. I brought up all the things throughout my life that felt big to me. My aunt basically told me that it was a complicated situation when it came to me, and that I couldn't resent my mother for it. At this point, my parents came up, 'cause we were yelling, and I was then left alone in my room when they got her to leave. It's been a few weeks since then, and I'm staying with my dad. My mother wants to talk to me and I do not. I feel especially pathetic in regards to my siblings. I feel I've failed them. They really look up to me and I'm not with them to help them through this hard time, and I've basically abandoned them. I feel pathetic crying about all this when I should be trying to be proactive, calling my siblings, texting them constantly, but instead I sit there and cry. My sister also overheard my fight with my aunt, and her being 8 didn't understand half of things we fought about, but she looked it up, and now she thinks my mother tried to kill me, and she won't take any explanation. My mom and aunt offer her. My sister is also distraught and thinks our mother hates me and is trying to separate us. My brother and me haven't really talked, but I think he's taking it the best out of all of us. According to my dad, my mom and aunt want to explain me to my sister that she did not try to kill me, and that my mom does not hate me. My dad does not want me to hate my mom. He wants me to talk to her because he wants me to have a relationship with her. In regards to how I feel about it, I don't know how I feel about the abortion stuff. I don't see it as her trying to kill me exactly. I do understand it was a teen pregnancy and it's a complicated situation. I think I more so care that she treated me so terribly. Growing up, I don't think looking back on it all, I don't think I can hate her for the attempted abortion. She was a scared teenager. I think I just hate her for treating me so differently and rather badly from my siblings growing up. and I don't want to talk to her again. As for my dad cheating, he was a piece of shit for it. But when I look at him, I can't bring myself truly to care. And I know that makes me terrible, but I feel so conflicted. I love my dad. He's been nothing but supportive to me in the best way a father can, but I don't want to talk to anyone. I've hardly spoken to any of my extended family. Hardly spoken to my siblings, and I feel so lost but also right in the situation. But also like a total asshole because my dad's a scumbag for cheating. But he doesn't act like a scumbag, and I'm supporting him, even though he cheated. I'm sorry for how long this was. Am I, Ta? I need someone to give me the cold hard truth.